spook easily startled.
Have you ever explored the depths of fear? Have you ever wondered what depravity dwells within the imagination of a storyteller that prompts them to exhume horrors untold and expose those horrors to unsuspecting audiences? Some are repulsed, and some are shaken. However, there are those who are invigorated. So to those demented souls, we invite you to journey inward into the dark bowels of human imagination. Press play, and you will discover what's in the podcast.
Worst dream come true. On everything ever were afraid of. Here. Take it.
That all the bad things that happen in this town are because of one thing.
Bill, if you'll come with me, you'll float too. Float too.
What happens when another Georgie goes missing? If we stick together, we'll win.
We can't let it happen again.
I've missed you.
We need to finish it.
It consumes us from the inside until we don't have a choice anymore.
We don't really talk about it.
They never even found a body. But maybe we could figure out what really happened to him. Do you think somebody could kidnap a kid and keep him underground?
We have 25 disappearances, 7 confirmed deaths, mostly children.
What is that?
And welcome back to another edition of What's in the Podcast. And for today, ladies and gentlemen, I am on cloud nine. You could even say I'm positively floating because today we are attempting to start a new segment of the show, one that I'm tentatively calling Facets of Fright. Specifically, what we are going to be doing today is what will appear to be a movie spotlight. In fact, what we are going to be doing is a deep dive into the collective legacy of a particular horror icon. So this is less Legacies of Fear where we spotlight installments of a franchise. We are just going to do a big deep dive into the collective history of one of our beloved horror icons, because I figured this was really the only way we were going to get a chance to talk about the quintessential killer clown from outer space, specifically Pennywise the Clown in Stephen King's It. So, of course, we are not just talking about Andy Muschietti's take on the character. We are not just talking about the TV movie. We are not just talking about the book. We are talking about all of it. And for today, we are bringing in a good friend of the pod, but also I would probably say I guess you could say she's my literary scholar that I always refer to. The person to which I can happily finally report I'm dipping my nose into that Junji Ito book that she loaned me. Finally started reading it. Mina, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's my
Hey.
favorite podcast to be on.
Oh, how many are you on normally?
None, but it would be my favorite no matter what.
Good. Well, that's good. I mean, at least if you're ever on any other, you'll have a basis of comparison. You'll be like saying, "Yeah, this is good, but it's not what's in the podcast."
It's not what's in the podcast. Sorry.
It's not. Sorry. Where else are you going to be able to talk about, killer clowns and witches and exposing your kids to horror? It's just like, where else are you going to talk about that but here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nowhere
but here. But yes, the one thing about our friendship is that you, well, if memory serves, you didn't you work as a librarian for a time, or didn't you?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
a while. For a long time, that's what I wanted my career to be.
Mm.
And it was for roughly 9 years.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so yeah, yeah, that was always in the back of my brain when I was thinking of doing this because I was like, oh, I need someone who I know for a fact read the book. It's well, I mean, of it. So I was like going, well, Mina seems to go. Yeah, I was like, okay, go to Mina, go to Mina. So yeah, yeah, I knew that tackling it was not going to be an easy undertaking because it was going to because it's not you can't just talk about one aspect of it because funny enough, this is the one time where, and I think this is true of most Stephen King adaptations, but it always seems like anything relating to something that was adapted from King, it's all kind of
Hmm.
symbiotic in
Yeah.
that. So no matter how far they're taking it with the TV series or even with the movies, in the end, it all whittles back to King and his book. So it just seemed logical that if we were going to tackle it, we were just going to. I love how well that fits in a sentence. If we're going to tackle it, I just love the way that works. We just had to just do an all encapsulating episode, just talking about everything with it.
Yeah. Well, and it's that novel itself is, depending on the version you get, is like 1100 pages to 1300 pages.
Hmm.
It's a chunk. It
Yeah.
is a chunk of a book.
Oh no, I think bugs that bugs are looking up when that book like comes down on top of them saying like Armageddon has come, when that thing yeah, when someone uses that book to kill them. They'll be like it'll be like a comic book guy, when he gets hit by the comic going, "Oh, I wasted my life." And then
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
Uh, it
So
was the first book that I bought on audiobook.
yeah.
That was the first one I ever bought.
Oh yeah, no, I had to listen to the audiobook. There was no way. I remember one time I was at Starbucks back when they used to have books, like
Hmm.
take a book, and they had it there.
Yeah.
And I saw this chunk of a book and I took the time to dig in and read it. I'm like going, this is good, but I don't know if I could ever legitimately grab this and go page by page. You know,
It took me a while.
y-
I also had to take breaks in between.
oh, I'm sure. I'm sure because
It
this book, yeah, the book is sprawling.
it is, and it's a lot, and there's so many details, even to side characters, especially to side characters.
Oh yeah. I
And
mean,
the opening is just brutal.
hmm oh yeah. I mean, especially nowadays. I remember when I finally did sit down and listen to the audiobook on it, I was staggered to find out that the book actually starts with the hate crime that
Yeah,
at the beginning of as portrayed in it chapter 2. I was
right.
actually amazed that that's how it started. I was like, oh
Yeah, it starts with
yeah.
that.
And
And
King doesn't hold anything back in his description of that scene. That is a harsh ass scene
yeah,
to watch. I mean, funny, I remember when the movie came out, and I remember people were not loving that scene. People were like, oh yeah, why that's so mean? Why you had to put that in there? I'm like, oh, it's in the book.
it's in the
Now,
book. It's how it starts.
yeah, and nowadays, funny enough, I think people are looking at that scene a little differently now because they're just like going, yep, this is our life, and it's ending one day at a time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for, when it was written and it opens in the 80s,
Mm,
and it opens with that scene, and it opens with the hate crime, and you're left with that almost mirror image of, yeah, Pennywise is a creature and feels no remorse and eats and consumes, but the humans are equally monsters.
yeah. And you could even say Pennywise, to an extent, what he does is enable them. He kind of,
Yes.
yeah, for a lot of the people who joyfully inflict pain, Pennywise seems to be that little demon on your shoulder that kind of enables you
He's
to.
an amazing catalyst for people who are already, you know,
Mm,
evil.
yeah. I mean, as we'll definitely get into with one key character that comes in. So I suppose the first place we should just go ahead and start. I mean, I guess we just start with our very first exposure to it. I mean, for me and a lot of other people I know, our first exposure was the 1990 TV miniseries that came out. And that was a pedigree production. It was the script was done by Lawrence Cohen, who helped adapt Carrie all
Yeah.
these years ago, and it was directed by Mr. Silver Shamrock himself, Tommy Lee Wallace. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was a top shelf project that they approached with the utmost dedication to try to adapt this because I think and I remember that they said they were originally that production was going to be 3 episodes, but they were able to
Hmm.
whittle it down to just two movies.
Yeah.
So
That was my first exposure was the 1990 miniseries.
yeah,
Um, I
so
wasn't
what was,
supposed to be watching it, but I did.
yeah, my parents were weird. I think they figured because it was a TV movie and it wasn't like an actual movie. I think they thought I could handle it because I'm pretty sure my parents never my mom never read the book. So I think they just assumed that oh, it's on TV, it's not gonna mess you up at all. And
Yeah.
no, more fool them because second Pennywise grabbed Georgie's arm and brandished the teeth. My brain was fucked after that. Yeah, after that, my sister, yeah, like in the dark, right when I'm about to go to bed, she was going yellow eyes and the dark. I was like, fuck you. If I was allowed to curse, I would have screamed, fuck you.
I watched it with my aunt. I was a little older. I was in middle school for sure. Like I had already read Carrie. And I had picked up it and then I had put it back down in a rare show of good sense for a 12-year-old. I was like, "Oh, you know what? This this may not be for me at this time."
Yeah, yeah. Just
I Oh, we're gonna wait a few years on it. I didn't get past the first chapter. Like I read the first chapter, I was like, "Oh, no. No."
yeah.
But I watched the mini series and yeah, I was 12. I was
Hmm.
12. Watched it with my aunt. They
Yeah.
also felt, it's a TV movie, how much can they show? And to an extent that's true.
Yeah.
There is a huge difference between the amount of gore and violence and horror shown in the mini series than the movies in the theater and Welcome to Derry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to the credit of the TV movie, and I think the reason why it's always been kind of like it prevailed so well is that because it was a TV movie, it was able to be accessible to a broader audience in terms of
Yeah.
especially I mean, as nightmare inducing as it was for kids, it's a good one, especially part one is a good one to show kids because it does a great job being relatable to the kids. I mean, because
Yes.
even me, I was like 9 years old when I was watching it. I had no problem in watching it just when it came to just relatability because I knew these kids. I was one of these kids, so I
Right.
was able
We're
to
all
follow.
losers.
Yeah, precisely. So I had no problem on that. I think that's what enabled me, even after that scary ass opening, to be able to watch it all the way through because I was able to just click with these kids and
Hmm.
feel the actual peril that these poor kids were in. So there was something raw and relatable about it. But because it was a TV movie, they were able to kind of whittle it down to just the essential of what makes it just a terrifying concept for kids.
Right. And when you take out the background characters, the secondary characters, and the villain's backstory, you don't hear about uh what makes them tick. It is easier to focus on the losers club and the main meat and potatoes of the conflict.
Mm,
So you have a more easily digestible version for a TV audience than you would necessarily, in a theater where you're going to see a child die. You're going to see
yeah.
a child die in a gruesome way, and you're going to see it happen a couple of times.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, well, oh man. I just remember, well, and in many ways, the TV movie did, because it was a TV movie, they were able to hold back. But because of that, they used suggestion to imply that
Yes.
what he did to little Georgia, and even by extension, the little girl that they did. Funny enough, that little girl in the beginning, like the dead beginning of the TV movie,
Hmm.
one of the girls who got roasted in the tanning bed in Final Destination 3.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and now you realize I've just seen that little girl's boobs. That's kind of awkward now. It's like I don't need to think about that. It's kind of like when you're watching Addams Family Values and you see Mercedes McNabb in that, and then
Yes.
and then later on you're watching Hatchet One. It's like going, I don't need to see more of that. Thank you very much. That's like anyone who's like saying, oh man, the Olsen twins are 18. Yeah, it's wrong,
It's
wrong.
it's weird when you see like you see children like child actors and then they grow up and they're like, what is Cindy Lou Who wearing? Oh, well, she's 28 now and she can wear whatever she wants.
Yeah. Well, yeah, beyond that, yeah, honestly, I'm just amazed about her transformation. The fact that she's become like this hardcore metal singer. I'm just like, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome right there. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and, in essence, give me a rundown of it. What is it about?
When you first start reading it, you think it's about this creature that takes on the form of children's fears in order to feed off of them, while the town has seemingly ignorant adults who don't really seem to try to intervene to save the children's lives. They're just sitting around, oh my gosh, so many kids are missing. How can we stop this? Oh, we'll do a curfew.
Yeah.
Except the danger's already in the house. The danger doesn't happen at night. The danger happens whenever Georgie was taken in the middle of the afternoon.
Hmm.
There's no safe time at all in the entire novel of it. And when the Losers Club gets together through various situations of bullying, running, trying to help each other, save each other, that's when they all realize that, hey, the missing children are being taken by an entity, and we've all seen it, and it's taken on our greatest fears, and it's chased us, and it's eaten Georgie, and we have to stop it because nobody else is going to do that. And it is rough. And of course, it doesn't take the first time. And they
Yeah.
kind of know. They kind of know. Like when part one ends, they know that what they've done has not put it away forever
Mm,
if it comes back. And they all know that it will.
precisely. Now, well, in the book, now the book doesn't isn't actually structured like the way the TV miniseries or even
No,
the recent movies are. The
you
movie
go back and forth
Yeah,
between the
the book
timelines.
bounces back and forth. I remember when I was listening to the audiobook, which incidentally, everybody, the unedited audiobook read by Steven Weber, fantastic. Steven
It's
Weber,
the best. That's the
he
one I have.
yeah, he did an amazing job, not just reading the book on its own, but his Pennywise voice is actually pretty wicked.
It is amazing. It
Yeah.
is scary.
Yeah.
It is truly, truly scary. I had to pause a few times. I've read the book. I've
Mm.
seen the movies. I've watched the TV series, and I still had to pause. It was 11 a.m. I'm cleaning the house. I was like, no, I have to take a break.
Yeah, fortunately for me, I listen to it on my commute, and for those who know Orlando, I live in Winter Park, but I work all the way out in Lake Mary, so I have a big commute to and from. So that was ideal to listen to it, back and forth in the car. So that was kind of a wonderful way to do it. But I just remember listening, especially the whole intro chapter, all devoted to Eddie, and where he
Yes.
with his wife, it's like, oh my God, you don't leave me, Eddie. Oh, that's just, oh God. It's I can't know if I'm gonna handle Al Pacino. It's like going, if Adam Sandler can handle Al Pacino, you can handle Al Pacino.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Oh gosh, Eddie and his wife and everything, and Stan's wife. That
Yeah.
was
Oh,
that
Stan.
was
Yeah.
that gutted me.
Yeah, that was fascinating. The fact that they get into a full detail with Stan and his whole
Yeah.
life and
And his
how
wife.
yeah, and just how happy he is with his wife and how good things are. And I will say it was cool that that happens early in the book. The whole thing with Stan going to the bathroom, unaliving himself. I love the way that that was in the book, like very early on, because it's a good hook
Yes.
for the audience, where the reader, where you're going like, what the hell is so bad that's making this guy who's very happy,
Who's happy with his life? Yeah.
who that would make him just go to his bathroom and just throw it all away? What is so bad that made him? What was on this phone call that made, frankly, it kind of made me sad. Well, I think if memory serves, It Chapter Two kind of started that way. That's what they did at the start
Yep,
of the movie, which
they did.
good move. Yeah, good move on that front. But kind of always made me, but the TV miniseries part one ended with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they know in the second episode or the second part of the TV movie, they're wondering where Stan is.
Hmm.
And they eventually figure it out because they're at the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And then they see his head talking to them in the refrigerator.
Oh yeah, the library scene. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, cracking wise, making jokes all at the loser's expense. I suppose to go from here, I think we should just break down each of the losers club because each and single every single one of them kind of reflect a very particular type of coping, or some of them even come from just different walks of life in terms of like what they deal with and what they suffer.
They
Uh,
all have deep,
yeah.
deep trauma.
Yeah, in one form or another. Some just have parent. I mean, you have Bill, whose parents are pretty much head in the sand kind of people. You got Bev, who, as we know, her father is well, let's just say if it was in his tax bracket, he'd be a regular visitor at Epstein Island. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, and what was it? And Ben, if memory serves, Ben was he was orphaned. His father, I think,
His
died.
father died, but he was with his mother, and they both had a lot of unresolved issues from his father's death.
Hmm.
And Ben's coping mechanism, he and his mom, turned to food for like a coping mechanism. And because they lived, Ben and his mother lived with his aunt in Derry for a while to like get back on their feet.
Mm.
And it was yeah, they had like unresolved trauma from his father's very sudden passing.
Yeah. And of course they moved to Derry just as a means to try to start with a clean slate. But of course, yeah,
Right.
you end up in
They
the
moved to the wrong place
move to the
for
really
that.
wrong place. Yeah, just worst place possible. And then
It was between Florida and Derry, and we made the right choice.
yeah, that's the sad part. Like, Florida or the buffet for the killer clown for the cosmic killer clown. Um clowns
Take my
occasionally can
chances.
be funny.
Take my chances.
Take your chances where you get it. Then, of course, we have Eddie Kaspbrak, who is a hypochondriac, but this
Hmm.
hypochondria comes about because of the gaslighting on a part of his mother, his
Yeah.
overbearing mother. Uh, Stanley Uris, he's well, Stan was always his character. He always seemed like the kind of the worrywart of the person. He was always like the timid person.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
always,
and also the book starts in the 50s, and Stan is Jewish.
yeah. Oh,
And to
devoutly
be
so.
Jewish in the 1950s in America was incredibly hard, but not as hard as being Black in America in the 1950s.
Which is where Mike comes in, Mike Hanlon. Yeah, he comes in and well, I will say for those who have not read the book, I'm going to warn you in advance. Stephen King holds nothing back when it comes to certain terms and vernacular that he uses.
He's
It
always been pretty fast and loose with the N-word, but
yeah,
the characters who are using it makes sense because they are hateful characters.
yeah. Well, the only one who I always said like was a little made a little too liberal use of the term was of course the other member, the one who very clearly hides a lot of his fears and anxieties under a veneer of flippancy and sardonic attitudes. That, of course, is Richie.
Yeah.
Yeah, who now in the book, the all the segments with the kid takes place in the 50s. So Uh, the thing he always proclaimed that he was good at is voices, and one of his characters that he always goes to is N-Bomb Bob.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the reason why, like, so when they started the whole beep beep Richie is
yeah.
because of his, good God.
Yeah, we need to put that in the rotation, like in a regular social circle. We need to just go like beep. Or yeah, I'm if you are free, Mina, anytime I go out of line, just go beep beep, John. Go ahead.
Okay.
And I'm doing that now, in the course of this podcast, either of us go out
And
loud, just
he's
go beep
his
beep.
nickname is Trash Mouth. And again, when it's set in the 50s, Trash Mouth would have been a pretty stern
Mm,
nickname for a child to have. Nowadays it'd be like, oh, that's so funny, Trash Mouth. But when the book takes place, when the kids are children, when the Losers Club are children, like it's it's not a great nickname, but it does, like, it fits him.
mm.
It fits
Oh
him.
yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah, absolutely does.
He
So
has a foul mouth for a child, which I appreciate because it's a good, it adds levity.
oh yeah, it absolutely does. So so as we see, like in all the different modes with all these kids, each and every one of them have their own roadblocks that they've got to work themselves through. And it's only just through the unity born between, yeah, that forms between all of them that they're able to surmount all their obstacles. And it's not even just Pennywise, it is the relentless and even abusive bullying at
Yeah.
the hands of Henry Bowers and his little entourage. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and the book, and now Stephen King, funny enough, the bully characters in Stephen King are an archetype unto themselves. I mean, he doesn't just bully kids in his work. He freaking it's like Savage Streets with the way he portrays bullies in a lot of
Yes.
a lot of his stuff. But I'd say,
And then you get the backstory of the bullies, which
yeah,
it doesn't excuse the behavior at all, but it does connect a few dots. Like,
oh,
oh, that's why
yeah,
you didn't just spring forth from the womb, a piece of shit. Like, you were either a sociopath from a young age, like Patrick Hofstetter,
yeah.
or horribly abused yourself, like Henry Bowers, and so on and so forth.
And then there was the other case where one bully, as we kind of gradually discover, is closeted
Yes.
as
Yeah.
well.
That, which is funny because Henry Bowers
Mm,
is also closeted because I don't want to get your podcast flagged for
yeah, that.
but the hand job that happens.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Fuck, we say a lot of wild shit on this podcast.
I
We did a whole episode about sexual violence and sexual assault. I think you're safe.
don't know. Okay, okay.
Yeah, we're a horror podcast. We're going to have to get into some
I
dark shit here.
mean, it
I
does
mean, well,
have
add on
a,
to it. I mean, we can't really talk about Beverly and not talk about the fact that unfortunately, her dad's a diddler. So
yeah.
yeah. So we kind of have no choice to talk about stuff like that. I mean, in a horror podcast, the beautiful thing about horror is that horror is meant to go there, and therefore so must we.
Yeah.
So must we. And the great thing about it as a work is that Stephen King very unflinchingly and very bravely goes to all those dark territories that people are afraid to go. And the best part is that's the point.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing about the whole population of Maine is that, yeah, like you said, people are terrified or that the adults seem ineffectual. But even if the parents are oblivious to what's actually going on, they still have this sense that there's something wrong, but they don't
It
they
it
don't
always seemed
communicate
like
about
they were in like a spell or in some sort of a mind fog.
it. Mhm.
And when you see Bill's parents, it's like, well, that makes sense because they've just lost their son. You see Betty Ripkin's mother, and all she can do is cry. And that makes sense because her daughter is missing, and everyone's like, she's got to be dead by now. It's been weeks. But the other adults, they just
Mhm.
sort of seem to exist during this time.
Yeah. And then, well, and even more so is that whenever adults like pass and they see kids getting bullied, a lot of them just lower their heads and just walk the other way.
Yeah.
and a lot of it is because there's that thing when unfortunately this is something that nowadays I'm hearing people do all the time where it's like they whenever they see like something horrible happening, they're like, I can't get involved, and they just walk the other
And
way.
they just walk away. I've seen it happen in real time. It's wild to me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how and Stephen King, I know, like on social media, has acknowledged like how weird it is that a lot of the stuff he's written has unfortunately resonated and is happening like right now, day to day. I mean, of course, how many people right now have constantly been making parallels with Trump and Martin Sheen's character from The Dead Zone? Like, how many people are doing that
Mm-hmm.
right now? And even he's like, and I remember when COVID kicked off, he kept going, guys, this is not the super flu. You can't actually beat this.
I posted a meme back in 2020. Stephen King is so sorry for everybody experiencing living in a Stephen King world.
Yeah, I mean, as much as interesting as his world would be, I don't know if I'd ever want to live in it. I mean,
Oh, never.
no.
Not once, not ever.
I mean, I suppose I could have lived with The Shining, but then after Doctor Sleep came out, and then and then the True Knot are running around.
Yeah,
No, I'd be terrified to have The Shining because last thing I need
I'm
to get
okay.
tortured to death. Yeah, I don't need that. So, yeah,
I maybe would have survived in a dark tower world.
yeah,
But that's iffy. That's very iffy.
yeah. I mean, I'm just scared by the notion that we might end up living in a Running Man world.
Yeah.
And the actual book, well, the recent Edgar Wright film and book, not the Schwarzenegger one. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So so I guess no beating around the bush. I think that in order to get into like the real heart of the horror of this, like the thing that really kind of like makes the town of Derry the minefield that it is, it all really boils back to Pennywise.
yeah.
So I suppose at this juncture we should just talk about what Pennywise is, just in the grand scheme of things, because I think when it comes to Stephen King icons of horror, this is probably the most well, I definitely say cosmic is the word to use because he actually is like
Yeah.
one of the oldest entities in the universe and is in many ways supposed to be like a polar opposite to another entity. Uh,
He is related to a lot of the other like giant entities that imbue in Stephen King's world. Randall Flagg
hmm,
is a sibling in the loosest sense to Pennywise.
that makes a lot of sense, actually.
And I remember when I read that, it was before I had read The Stand, and reading The Stand, knowing that Randall Flagg and Pennywise are essentially like very similar creatures. I was like, you know what? That makes this book so much better.
Hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, that's well, and even with Pennywise identifying themselves as the eater of worlds, it's like that.
Hmm.
Which, when you think about all that, it does the whole thing about Pennywise in his true form being a spider. That does make
Yeah.
sense, especially if you know spiders. You know that spiders are a voracious species that pretty much will eat anything, and from what I understand, live in a constant state of hunger. So the idea
Yes.
that this is a creature that it has to feed, just lives to feed, and only really lives for it and savors it by making you scared. And the fact that now it's like it could just eat anything, it could just keep eating just for the sake of eating. The thing that makes Pennywise terrifying is the idea that he likes making you scared in order to make the food sweeter. That's what.
Yeah.
So when you throw sadism into what is just his natural thing, the thing that he just does is eat. But the fact that Pennywise has the free will to say, you know what? I'm going to pepper some fear on top of that to make this a little zestier. So the fact that Pennywise is willing to go that far, that's where the evil really sets in, is the fact that they are full blown sadistic.
He doesn't even have to eat the physical bodies. He just does.
Mm,
It tastes good. He likes it. It's like junk food to him. It's
hmm.
like a fudgesicle. He doesn't
Yeah,
have to eat the arms and the legs and the face, but he does.
yeah. Yeah, but I know that that is like the big make or break for a lot of people though with it, especially with the ending. I mean, that's why I was really happy with what Andy Muschietti did with it chapter 2 with that final conflict because it's like, yeah, just throwing in a big ass spider is going to be a big ask for people,
Yeah.
but I know for a lot of people like when they read the book, it's like all of a sudden it's like a fucking spider. That's very specific.
I think it works though. I remember seeing the miniseries and I was like, ooh, okay, we're ending it on a spider. All right. But I was 12. And then when I read the book as an adult and then I saw, it chapter 2, I was like, you know what? It does make sense. It really does because it's a web of fear. It's entangled this entire town for years and years and years. I think a spider form is very apt. I mean, if we can
Mhm.
have the turtle form for the opposite of Pennywise, for the cosmic entity that's the opposite of him, we
Mhm.
can have a spider, for the big bad.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think about the whole essence of fear, just the idea. I mean, when people do think of a bug that everyone's terrified of, their default is always spider.
Always.
In fact, we did a whole episode talking about why spiders are like legitimately freaky. I mean, I was, and just to repeat something I said from that podcast, I was for the longest time an arachnophobic. Um, yeah, for a very long time. But then I used my own form of exposure therapy. Now I'm good with them. Now I'm actually fascinated by them. So the idea that Pennywise, well, just knowing how people have an emotional response to spiders, it and knowing that Pennywise is an entity that thrives on fear, I was like going, well, yeah, I mean, spiders just even their tiniest form freak people out. So imagine what would happen if that big fucker coming at you.
Oh, it freaks me out. I can't. I can't. I am, I am a one of those like, no, I'm a strong, independent person. All right. But my God, if there is a spider and I have to take care of it,
Hmm.
we have one of those like spider removers.
Oh, really?
And then I just recently learned that the spiders I remove from my house, because I don't want to kill it. I don't want to kill it, but I don't want it in my house. So we got one of those like spider removers. It's like a hand claw with bristles at the end. You scoop up the spider and you put it outside. And I was like, all right, great. It's out of my house. I didn't have to kill anything. I just found out the spiders you remove from your house die. So I
Yeah.
didn't do crap. I didn't do jack.
Yeah, you did nothing to save them.
I did nothing to save them. I was like, well, I'm a shitty person, but they can't be in my house.
Yeah. It's your turf. It's your territory. Yeah, because unfortunately, like any animal that's been born domesticated, I mean, spiders, their natural habitat is your house. You know, a lot of them are born in your
Yeah. And you know what? If I
Yeah.
never see them, it's fine.
Yeah. They're
But
not
if I
like
see them, I have to get them out.
not all of them are like the general from Arachnophobia.
I still can't watch that movie without like taking something.
Oh
I
God.
am
Yeah.
in a constant state of tense.
Oh man, I can't imagine watching you with I actually no, I would imagine sitting with you watching Infested. You know, I'd love to see your reaction to that.
I have to have a pillow to like
Yeah.
squeeze.
Oh yeah. No, you
I'll
would
do it, but Jesus.
Yeah.
So for me, Pennywise is a giant spider. Super effective. Super effective.
Mhm. Oh yeah. And well, I remember Tommy Lee Wallace when he made the miniseries, he was just like going, this is just how the book ends. I'm saddled with it. I'll just try to do it the best I can. But
Yeah,
for everyone who yeah, and then people who are like wondering why the spider, it's like, guys, it was a TV budget. This was like the biggest ask of the entire of all the things that the miniseries asked them to do. This was the biggest ask of
right.
them all was to make a big giant spider. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. And up to that point, you're asking them to make that on a television budget. And even more so, up to that point, there really still had not been a legitimately great giant spider portrayed on film that was realistic at that point. I mean, the closest I think one could say was probably like the one from Tarantula, but that was for all intents and purposes just a big ass tarantula on a green screen.
Right.
for the most part.
It's hard to do, especially in the 90s, and for 1990.
Mm,
I still think it was a pretty good rendition of a giant spider. Because in my mind, when I'm watching, it was like, it's not a spider. It's just the form that Pennywise ended up in.
yeah.
So he's not a spider in his natural form. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, well, as the Andy Muschietti
but still,
film portrays, in essence, he's the Deadlights. I mean, that he's just this form of energy
yeah, yeah,
that comes in, and that's kind of what he actually is.
yes,
So that begs the question. I mean, like his big party trick is the Deadlights. That's the thing they
yeah.
use to ultimately bring his victims under his thrall. So, I mean, what do you think? Now, I'm trying to remember if the book described what you see when you see the Deadlights, but I mean, what did they ever describe that?
They do. So when the first person we get to tell us about the Deadlights is Bev.
Mm,
Georgie sees them, and Georgie hears the carnival, he smells the popcorn, but he starts experiencing that before the Deadlights. But when the person becomes under the influence of the Deadlights, it's everything all at once. It's sort of like seeing your life flash before your eyes, but it's entirely under Pennywise's control.
mm,
So, because he wants you to be docile. So he's either going to show you things to bring you to a state of terror, but he can't do it so much that you die before he gets to eat you. Or he's going to do it to where you're calm and and he's in control. Like with
mm.
Georgie. Georgie died before he could even realize what was happening to him. Because at that point, Pennywise was hungry and weak.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh, when Henry Bowers sees the Deadlights, he goes insane, but he doesn't die from that because Pennywise needs him to be, the agent on the outside for when he
yeah.
comes back. At that point, he already knew he may need another link to the outside world.
Mm. Yeah, this actually kind of leads us to another key trait about Pennywise is the fact that he goes on a killing spree, just slaughtering mostly children because that's like the most susceptible victims. Funny enough, I think that's one thing I love about it is that it calls out one key hypocrisy about adults in terms of their relationship with their kids, is that adults make a big game about, protecting the children. Oh, won't someone think of the children?
Yeah,
But yet, but yet, in their self-righteousness, they don't actually protect the children.
right. Not
More
at
often
all.
than not, they act like they're saddled with them or they're burdened by them, and they
Right.
leave the kids to their devices. I mean, I remember so many people criticize it, like going like, "Who, why are these kids just running around? Where are the parents?" And it's like going, "Have you seen their parents? Have you seen Derry like around? These parents are a lot of them, their heads are in the sand or their heads are so far up their ass, they're not really paying attention to them. That's like all, for a lot of parents, kids are just, present company excluded. And of course, Kat, who was on a previous episode, there are parents in this world who have kids just because society tells them they have to have kids. And a lot of them just don't really want kids.
Yeah, the reality of wanting kids and the reality of having kids is there is a stark difference between having children and actively being a participant in their lives and raising them. And then
Mm,
there's, what you see on TV and movies, which is children aren't in the shot unless they have to be in the shot. When you
yeah.
see a kid, a baby, a toddler, a small child, when they are completely reliant on the parent, they're not in the space with the parent unless the script calls for it. But in real life, that child is with you 24/7.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And it's a weird because you get a lot of media showing you what it's like to have a child and what it's like to have a traumatized child, but it doesn't get it right. because the child's only in the shop with the kid or with the parent to move along the plot. And in real life, that's not the
Yeah.
case.
And that's one thing I do think is a major problem in America is that they never really hit home the idea that people need to understand the responsibility of having a kid. And if they don't recognize that responsibility, before it's too late, things going to get worse. I find it funny. I only found out yesterday there's a commercial for condoms in France. Uh, oh, you've seen
I've
this?
seen it.
Yeah,
I
you see
love
it.
it.
Yeah, there's a
So
dad.
funny.
Yeah, a dad in a supermarket, and this kid is a friggin' terror. He's throwing shit around, screaming, and the dad is, you can tell this is a dad who probably for a time was like a player or something like that. He was a clearly used to be a model of some form, looking down at this kid like going, he clearly holding back all of his willpower to like curb stomp the kid, and then the just a pure and simple subtitle says use condoms,
Use condoms.
and I'm always like,
It's pretty good.
France has no chill, man. I love
No,
it. But yeah, but
no.
it's yeah, truth be told, if this is part of it. I mean, see, as I've said before, I've worked at Blockbuster. I've seen kids in various modes of glee and unrest and disarray.
Yeah.
So I didn't need to be convinced, like, no, I know damn well what this is going to entail, so I'm going to be responsible. Just be responsible. And the problem with each of these parents is that of all the Losers Club, and even by extension, actually, one thing I will say I loved about Welcome to Derry is that we got to see different types of parents of
Yeah.
various modes. I mean, like you have Will Hanlon and his parents, the friggin'
His parents were the only parents
yeah.
that were parenting.
Oh
I mean, I know it's
man.
the 50s. I know it's the 50s, and the culture around raising a child was incredibly different than it is in 2026. But Will Hanlon's parents were the only ones who were like, you know what? We
But
should.
even
But then again, Will Hanlon's parents are the only Black family in town in the 50s.
mhm.
Wait, is it the 50s or the 60s?
So it was 1962 that Welcome to
1962.
Derry takes place in. Well, then
That's right,
you've also got
1960s.
Ronnie, but you got Ronnie and what
Oh
she's dealing
gosh,
with.
yes,
Yeah, you
they
got
did live
Ronnie
in
and
town
yeah, you have Ronnie as well. And the when we meet
with her
them,
father and her grandmother.
and they were living in the marginalized part of Derry at that point. But even
Yeah.
then, before all this goes down, her dad was like just a regular fixture in the community because he ran the movie theater
Hmm.
and the like. It was that thing where he was able to kind of carve his own place. But even then, he couldn't overstep his bounds. And even worse, that he gets into a relationship with a white woman and he had to keep that
She
on
was,
down low.
yeah. Ronnie was also always with her father when he was in the movie theater. Like he kept her close. Her grandmother kept her close because they had to.
Yeah. And in the wonderful thing about Will Hanlon and his mother Charlotte. Oh,
I
Charlotte
loved her so
Hanlon.
much.
Charlotte Hanlon is a freaking boss, and not just because she's played by Taylor Page, but man, just yeah, Charlotte, and even his dad Lee,
Hmm.
good people, and even though I mean, their focuses are elsewhere, they never seem to lose focus on the fact that all of this is for the fact that they have a kid and they know how hard it is to grow up in,
Yeah.
being a black kid in this community. So I love the fact that Charlotte's whole thing is the fact that I'm just trying to make this world better for my son. This is the way I
Yes.
know to do it. In a way, she's kind of like the angelic version of Sheila Broflovsky from South Park, where she never loses focus on Will and knows that she still loves him and makes sure that he's still a good, well-adjusted kid, which funny enough he is. But she still is a activist who still goes out
Hmm.
of her way to try to make the community better for blacks, so that way her son can have a good life afterwards. So
Yeah.
that's yeah, that's kind of how I was reading her. And then you have Lee, who very clearly had to work his ass off to get to where he is. But even
Correct.
yeah, but even then he suffered physically. I mean, to the point where he has a brain injury that stripped his amygdala.
Yeah. He was an amazing example of the systematic racism in America and in the military, where you have this very capable Black man who has given everything for his country. He has given all he can for the military, and he's still having to work harder and faster and better than his, his white uh
Yeah,
compadres.
exactly. Well, and the
And he's still not given the full benefit of the doubt.
yeah, and even more so, the only time he's really, and the only reason why he's ever afforded any kind of luxuries is because he's of value
Right.
to I believe Shaw, played by James Remar, is like
Yeah.
the only reason why they give him any kind of considerations whatsoever is because he's a valuable asset. Same thing for this is the thing I freaking loved in Welcome to Derry. In fact, they brought in Dick Halloran.
That was the best.
Not even in the books. Don't care. I just love the fact that they're making Dick Halloran like Agent Coulson of the Stephen King universe. I love it. I love that
They
they're
mentioned him in the book. They mentioned Dick Halloran in the
did
book, but
they?
he is it's a surprise, like it's an Easter egg in the
Okay.
book. When
You know,
they
now
talk
that
about the black spot, Dick Halloran is there.
oh my God, now that you're mentioning it, I think I remember you. Yeah, I think I remember you meant you're right. Yeah. Oh,
And Dick Halloran gets out of the fire because of The Shining. Um,
mm.
because he knows like something is going to happen. He's able to survive that. But yeah, it is a brutal way to have an Easter egg.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember when Welcome to Derry was coming out, and the second the black soldiers were talking about getting their own place, I was like,
It's like, it's the
oh
black spot. Oh
no.
no.
Because
I
I
know
remember
what
the book,
happens.
because yeah, the black spot incidents in the book and the Andy Muschietti films did do a good job talking about the black spot. They make sure to put that front and center, let it know that this was
Yes.
a nasty ass incident that happened. Now, I think in the book, was it a military club or was it just a regular speakeasy?
It was a regular speakeasy, but it was frequented by a lot of military.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember in the book it was just simply burned down in a hate crime. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously obviously Welcome to Derry gave it a bit more of motivation because of the whole thing going down with Ronnie's dad.
Well, and the hate crime was attributed to Pennywise, to his influence.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, but he doesn't create chaos out of nowhere. The hate was already in their hearts. They
Mhm.
were just emboldened by it,
Well, yeah,
to
that's
use
the thing
a fake word.
exactly. No, yeah, emboldened is that's not a fake word. Emboldened is a word.
Is it? I thought
Yeah.
I thought I thought emboldened was a
Oh
word they
no.
made for wicked.
Oh no.
I
Hey,
use it so often now.
hey, Shakespeare made up words. Shakespeare
That's
made up
true.
words. We just never,
That is
yeah,
true.
yeah, just, fortunately he was playing to the masses and most of them didn't really have like the wide education to know whether or not. So they're just like, oh, it's a word. Okay.
It's a word.
Hey, all words are made up words. Okay.
That is true.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what? Don't feel bad. I mean, hell, how many Joss Whedonisms before he was problematic? How many of them have we put into the rotation now because of him?
Well,
I
we
say,
use Google.
yeah, precisely. I say shiny all the time,
Yeah.
Precisely. Even in lieu of his problematic nature, I still say shiny. I still say shiny. So don't feel bad, people. Say what you want. As long as it makes sense, don't say what you want.
Live.
Live, damn you. Precisely. Yeah, so that's actually leading into a nice little thing talking about the way Pennywise operates. It's not that he builds the fear from the ground up. He preys on your already pre-existing anxieties brought
It's
about.
already there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already there. He just knows the right way to prod at it to make it work so the fear can really taste sweet when he finally decides to strike.
Well,
And
Pennywise is the destroyer, and Maturin, the turtle, is the creator. And he can't destroy what isn't there. Like he can't create the fear. The fear has to, like you said, the fear already has to be in there. In the book, Mike's fear was a pterodactyl like creature because he had seen movies with his dad. And for whatever reason, he was like, that giant bird, that giant ancient beast, like, was his fear.
I'm just like, what movie did he watch that involved that? I was like, was it the Flying Claw or the that one from MST3K, the giant claw? I think, with that.
No, I don't remember. In my mind, I'm
Well, I
like,
don't
it
think
was
they
one of the
named it. I'm just
Godzilla movies, but
it could have been like maybe Rodan or something, who knows? But
I think it was like based on Rodan,
yeah. Well, then
but I
again,
could be wrong.
Godzilla was 1954, and the book I think took place in the late 50s, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah, something like that. So maybe I don't. I think it might have been the giant claw. I don't know. I think it might have been that one, that really bad like
that would.
puppet bird head thing. That one that just looks ridiculous. I wonder
But
if
when
it,
he sees it on the farm and it's coming after him, he was like, "Oh
yeah,
my God, it's quicker than it was in the movie, because in the movie it's not real, but when he's seeing it, it's like taking that movie prop and turning it into reality."
yeah. That's a major thing, people. That's kind of like what they say about nostalgia, just the idea that you remember something better than it actually is. That's
Right.
kind of what we're seeing in that sequence in the book, because I remember this vividly because it was such an out of left field sequence that isn't even done in any adaptation. Was Mike running from this bird, and I was like, or this bird-like entity, and I was like, and yeah, the way it's described, I'm like going, this thing looks like something out of hell
Yeah.
coming at him. So if this was like the extrapolation of his memories of what he saw on the screen, that's like, yeah, that makes sense that it would look like that. So
It's scarier in real life than it is. And I think it's the same for all of the losers when they see their fears in reality. It's even scarier than what they could have imagined or what they did see. Uh,
yeah, because what was it? Well, Richie, for example, in the TV miniseries, they had just seen I Was a Teenage Werewolf. And
yeah, for him
when
it's a
Richie,
werewolf.
yeah, and then Richie see, and yeah, that was, I think, in memory serves in the book, but obviously in the TV miniseries, when he goes down to the boiler room and it's a teenage werewolf in a Letterman jacket, but the makeup on it looks like even better than, and if you've ever seen it, I Was a Teenage Werewolf, the makeup on Michael Landon's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty,
It's good,
yeah.
especially again for the time.
Yeah, for the time, but yeah, again, he's remembering it way more vividly than as is portrayed on screen. So, yeah, I think that's actually a good. I think that is a good essence of how he operates. He just takes what is pre-existingly there, and just kind of builds on it on top of it. Now, I'm trying to remember. Now, in the two films, Richie said he had a fear of clowns, but that I don't remember was in the book. I think that was exclusive to those two movies, I think.
Yeah, I think it was just the movies. When when they do that flashback in the movies and they're all talking about what they saw that absolutely terrified them, Richie has a line where it says, or werewolves. You don't see him with the werewolf fear in the movies, in the theatrical movies. But it's implied that he saw a werewolf when the losers were like broken up
Mm,
during the 2 weeks of that summer where they had that fight.
yeah, they had that big blowout, and yeah, yeah. I just remember, what was it when It Chapter Two came out, and they had the whole when they talk about that, it's like going, yeah, there was that whole period where we were separated, and I love how people were like, going, well, wait, when did all that happen? It's like you had the whole big block,
Yeah.
yeah, where they were. So, no, I think the big thing was their little underground clubhouse that they had, which that's in the book. Funny enough, that is in the
That is in the book.
yeah, absolutely. I think they just couldn't fit it into chapter one. I know they probably should have, but
They
they
mentioned it, you see it, and you see it in flashbacks.
in chapter two you do because I remember a lot of people going, whoa, 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 when the hell did all this happen? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I after I read the book, see, I think that was a major thing. It's like as much as I will say tell people I prefer the Andy Muschietti films over the book, the book is still a valuable companion in terms of cultivating my opinion of that.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot to take out of the book. Um, I mean, I will just on a con side, I will say you can pinpoint where the cocaine kicked in when King was writing it. You absolutely can. But in the end, the book is still a valuable companion, and there's still a lot of worth in the book. Easily, I think
It's not a quick read, and
no,
that's the hindrance there. Carrie, you can knock that out in a day.
absolutely,
The an 11 to 1300 page book, it's an amazing book, but it's not a beach read.
yeah,
It's a book that you do have, and there's so much detail. Um, like Patrick's little brother and the fact that Patrick has that illness where he thinks he's the only real person in the world, and everyone else is like not really a person, not really there. And when he kills his baby brother when he's 5, and he has no remorse for it, they can't show that in the movie.
yeah, they
There's
can
there's no flow. There's no flow. There's no way to like because none of the losers are friends with Patrick, so they wouldn't have known about it.
precisely.
Patrick's mother is not in the movies. You don't see her. She doesn't talk about, oh, I miss your baby brother. You don't see any of that.
Yeah.
But the fact that Patrick at 5 years old in the book smothers his baby brother and Patrick's father realizes that his older son did it and does nothing is so chilling. Because the father's like, if I tell them what I know, I'm going to lose both of my sons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And in his mind, it was better to have his 5-year-old sociopathic son than not, because they've already buried one kid, and now they've got
Mhm.
Patrick. And he's like, well, I can't lose this one too, and I can't tell my wife it will be the end of her.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Well, this is yeah, that is pure and simple a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, which is something that you obviously are not going to know in cinematic form. So the book definitely reads in a very episodic vein, and for
Yeah.
the size of the book, it is kind of important that you do that. For the most part. And I will say, having read the book, when I did go back and watch all the extra material, it does ring, and it definitely does show how dedicated everyone created the both the TV miniseries and the movie were, and how loyal they were to King's pro work. That
Yeah.
they were trying that they probably kept a lot of that in consideration in the way they portrayed the characters in all
Yes.
this media because I can think about everything I read in the book in subtext, like especially Hofstadter, when he's pursuing Ben in the sewers, it's like I'm yeah, and how he keeps insisting on calling him tits and
Yeah.
all that stuff. I'm like going, this is probably a lot of it coming from the stuff I read in the book. Like they probably did
Yeah.
like and I do know that that's like a major research tool for a lot of people when they do an adaptation. A lot of times they'll read the book, or a lot of times they'll have people like go through and give a full character breakdown based on the pre-existing material that's already there.
Yeah. I appreciate that. You can,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of that comes from, I mean, actors are all going to have their own method of getting into character and research and whatnot. But I
Hmm.
really enjoy when you can tell, an actor has read the book or really gotten into the source material.
Yeah. I think that's a fascinating thing about Welcome to Derry is that one, for the most part, creates a lot of that from the ground up. Like they
Yes.
like our main set of characters are all like from the ground up. Like you don't a lot of them are just entirely like the product of the people who made that show. I
Hmm.
was and I think and that was great because I will say flat out, I don't know your reaction, but the end of the first episode, throughout that episode, you think we're building up like to like the new Losers Club,
Yeah,
something like that.
100%.
And then just at the end of that first episode, man, those three kids got fucked. They got fucked so hard.
They killed off who I thought was going to be all the main characters. I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
in spectacularly brutal fashion. In spectacularly brutal fashion. And Pennywise, like the clown, was nowhere to be seen, just a big mutant bat baby.
no, yeah, no clown at all.
Yeah,
Just a horrifying baby.
yeah, just a horrifying bat baby. Like they they knew damn well what we were used to and what our comfort zone was. And they knew that we knew how Pennywise operated, and they exploited those expectations and they made it absolutely work. So by the time we got to the end of that first episode, I was like, this show is going to go anywhere, and I have no idea what the hell is going to happen.
No idea where it is. I love when that happens. When you have who you think is going to be the main character, and then it turns out no, they're going to die pretty early on. You when you see that in Psycho, and you see that in Scream, and now we've seen it in Welcome to Derry. And I 100%, I was like, oh, here's our new cast of characters, everybody. All right, let's go, go, go. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
they're dead, dead, dead.
Yeah. I mean, and they took and especially Teddy Uris, who, as we realize, is very clearly of Stan's family. Yeah, Stanley is
Yeah,
family. Um,
I
we take
still
they
think that's his uncle.
Yeah, I think it's like his uncle, but they take their time with Teddy.
They
Like,
do.
yeah,
You
they
see a
really,
lot of Teddy,
yeah.
and you see that parallel between Teddy and Stan.
Hmm. Well,
And
and everything you see that goes down with Teddy in this opening leads a lot to Stan in later on, where the idea that, well, yeah, now we see why, because I guess we see Stan's father as a kid
yeah,
back then. It probably would explain why he's very strict on Stan, especially in regarding his bar mitzvah and the like. He's very clearly much more devout, much more dedicated, and obviously with the death of his brother, he's going to be a hell of a lot more strict on Stan.
yeah,
On there is a This is one thing I did love in chapter two. I love that they it was a deleted scene in it chapter one, but I love that they carried over the scene later on where Stan gives his speech at his bar mitzvah.
yes,
Yeah, and a lot of it really is, and I love the speech because it was pretty much balls out about him saying like, we gotta we keep burying our heads in the sand, but we have to face the fear. And I was like, I was so happy that they kept that scene in, because I remember when I got the Blu-ray of the first movie and I saw that deleted scene, I was like, why did you cut this? This is like a made because Stan had always been kind of accused of being a nothing burger character. And I'm like, this scene defines his character. Why would you cut that? And I'm like, oh, well, now that's why, because they moved it over to it chapter two.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad that they kept it
Mm,
in some form or fashion. But like, so the first thing I do is watch deleted scenes. I love deleted scenes. I love
yeah.
trivia. I love deleted scenes. I want to hear every tiny nitty-gritty detail. Um, but I'm glad that they put it in the second movie, and you still see Stan. Like, justice for Stan, man.
Yeah. I mean, I will say they tried. They did try to do a little bit more with Stan, like to explain why, like when he sent the notes to all the Losers Club explaining why he did what he did. I,
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose let's play a form of devil's advocate here and just kind of talk about the fact that I think he knew deep down that day when they went down to the cistern that Stan was the one who was the most vulnerable of the bunch, and I think he knew deep down
Yes.
that he would be the Achilles heel to the entire group. Uh,
Right. You think it's going to be Eddie. You think it's going to be Eddie, but it's not.
mhm.
It's Stan. Stan is going to be the weakest link, and he knows it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's the thing we discover about Eddie is like, once you get him pissed, oh my God, Jack Dylan Grazer, just his performance as little Eddie, just all the time.
Yes.
Oh my God, just every time that little kid was like, "Don't you fucking touch me! Don't you fucking touch me!"
They're gazebos.
Yeah. Oh my God, they did so right by his character. And also, actually, I'm glad we're doing this because rest in peace, James Ransome. We just
Yeah.
lost him recently, and I was crushed. He
I was too. I was pretty horrified. I felt awful.
Yeah, just to know that he unalived himself, and the fact that I mean, honestly, for me, it was Robin Williams all over again, because he seemed like someone who had a lot
Yeah.
of people who had his back. I know Scott Derrickson was gutted. Well, Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill were gutted because they had just did Black Phone 2, and they even were able to find a way to get him back into it, even though in Black Phone 1 he got an axe in his head. They were still
Right.
working back into Black Phone 2, and I was like going, it just makes me sad just to know that some people, doesn't matter how many people they got in their corner, and in many ways you can even kind of tie that back into this kind of stuff that it talks about, is just the idea that um sometimes, even the best of us, or the people who seem like they're going to be the best of us, are just as vulnerable and a lot of times can succumb.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
it
mean,
is. It is rough and it is hard. And I think it's something that's not like you can't explain it. You can't decide, well, everyone loves so and so. They never, because it's not about what we see. It's all about
mhm.
what they're, experiencing. And it is rough. It is rough.
Yeah. And well, I think the thing that's also equally tragic about Stan, well, when I think about his wife, unfortunately, his wife has no context about why he
She
did it.
doesn't know. Yeah, she has no
She'll never
idea.
understand. And unfortunately, this poor woman, uh, even if he did explain it, she'll never understand because she wasn't there. And that actually leads to the other key thing about the adult side of it is the whole aspect where anyone who ever left Derry begins to forget.
They forget about all of it.
Yeah. Now,
It's like a nightmare. It's like it didn't happen.
yeah, which one could always say is like part of the reason why people are hell bent to move away from where they grew up is because many times they want to get away from the thing that caused them pain in
Yeah.
their childhood. But ultimately, the problem is with running from pain is that the pain never leaves you, no matter how far you run and no matter how much you try to forget it.
Yeah, even if you forget it, it's still there because they
Mm,
remember as soon as they come back or as soon as they get that phone call from Mike, they remember. And Stan's wife says, oh, Stan's a very private person. If he isn't feeling well, he doesn't make a big production. He goes off by himself.
yeah.
And he takes care of whatever he needs to take care of. And he doesn't he doesn't remember Derry until he does.
Hmm. And when he
And
does, he remembers that it was the most because in that incident when he was a kid, he came closest to death, like from
yeah,
the rest of them. I mean, hell, in it chapter one, Stan practically almost gets his face eaten off.
yeah.
Yeah, nearly
There's
so.
there's no way to really like process when when you have those repressed memories and it comes back to you in a rush like that. Like there's no way to process that. But and Bev mentions everybody when she describes what she sees in the deadlights, when
Hmm.
she's in that coma, because the deadlights either put you in a coma, cause death, or they make you go insane. And Bev says in the movie, she sees them all as adults, and that's how they know Pennywise is going to come back, even though they
Yeah.
frame it as a if it comes back. But
Oh,
she knows it's coming back. And Stan says, all of us?
yeah.
Something to that.
I remember when because I had
I feel like
known.
he knows. I
Yeah,
feel like he knows that it's
yeah,
not going to be him.
yeah. That's messed up. Just the idea that he has like some kind of idea about that. Yeah, I will advise everybody go back and legitimately go back and sit down and watch both movies back to back with each other. And it's kind of wicked seeing how, as it was always meant to be, like one complete story, it really does ring differently when you watch that scene and then just lead right into Stan unaliving himself as he does
Yeah.
from there. I suppose the next step we need to really kind of get into, we need to just get into where the losers are when they're adults at that point. I mean, as we see, is like, well, the thing that's fascinating is that everyone who left Derry prospered. They all did very, very well for
They
them.
all become very rich, but none of them can have children, even when they want to.
Yeah, and even more so is that a lot of them, some of them kind of fall back into certain kind of personal traps. I mean, Bev, just when you move away and you try to get away from an abusive home, only to land yourself. And I've always heard like there are some people who, especially with profound parental issues, I've heard tell that a lot of times they end up finding someone who has similar character traits to their oppressive parental figure. Uh,
Yeah,
and
it's safe. It's what you know.
it's
You know
yeah,
what's going to happen because you have that experience.
and a lot of times they don't realize that that's what they're falling into until it's too late. It's just something in their subconscious just clicks with that. So it's interesting that Bev ends up leaving one. abusive relationship and ends up landing in another one. And in the book, now I will say this, in the TV miniseries and even the movie, they do kind of bait you into thinking like this guy's like, not going to be as bad as that. The book, I remember, Bev's husband was just a big old plumber schlub kind of thing. I remember that's what he was like. I remember he was.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was
remember.
very,
I don't remember being a glamorous person. He was someone who was
no.
a big walking red flag.
He was big and he was strong, and he always had this idea that Bev was cheating on him,
When
even though
it really
she
wasn't.
never was.
Yeah.
And I felt when I was reading the book, she gravitated towards him because he was strong and he was protective. And the abuse that he gave her was just different enough from the abuse of her father. She's like, well, he's not molesting me. It's not
Yeah.
abuse because he gets upset with me, and that's fine. Sure, he takes my money and he makes it so I can't leave the house. And yes, he hides my keys so I can't leave the house. And, but it's not abuse because he's not molesting me.
Yeah.
Uh, it's abuse in a different way, but it's still abuse.
Hmm.
And it feels for her like he's protecting her because she can't remember Derry. She can't remember it. She probably remembers her father, but who's to say if she remembers specifically the type of abuse that he gave her?
Hmm.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But for her, I think initially the abuse felt like protection.
Oh yeah. Yeah, precisely. And you could even say the same thing for Eddie, uh, because as we know that his mother was insanely overprotected to the point where she's gaslighting Eddie into thinking that he
Right.
has all these diseases. And now in the TV movie, Eddie is still living with his mother when he's like an adult, but they both move away from Derry. But in the movie and the book, no, he just marries a an equally clingy, very, I don't want to say, I would definitely say domineer, but definitely someone who preys on his subservience to
Yeah. I
yeah.
like that they used the same actress for Eddie's
That was
mom as they
brilliant.
did for his
That
wife.
was
That was
so
so
brilliant when they
good.
did that. I loved,
She's a good. She
yes.
did such a good job with both of those roles. I do not remember the actress's name, and I apologize for that. But
Yeah.
she was just chef's kiss.
Yeah,
That's got to be hard.
I mean, she was even sinister in her own right, just the way they portrayed, like even just in certain scenes, like the scene in chapter one when Eddie confronts his mother after he finds out that his drugs are placebos. Uh,
Right.
just the way she carries herself when is like that's sinister, and I was so impressed by the way they portrayed when the movie wanted you to realize that these parents are no better than Pennywise.
She was scary. The
Yeah.
way that she spoke, give your mother a kiss.
Yeah.
The way she says it. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nasty. But I love how you see Eddie kind of falls back into that cycle
Yeah.
again because it just works for him. Though in the
It's
book,
all he knows.
yeah, in the book, Eddie runs a limo service, which is random. But in it chapter two, I think he's a risk assessor, an insurance risk assessor. I think that's what he does for a living in the movie, which honestly is kind of makes more
That
sense.
is kind of funny.
I actually kind of like when I saw that they made that change. I was like, that oddly works by comparison.
I
Yeah.
like the changes that they made because when you're moving the losers up, their childhood happened in the 80s and their adulthood is happening, in current day. You don't really have, in the age of Uber and Lyft, you don't really have a need for limo drivers or
Mhm.
driving services.
Yeah.
Just like, Eddie, sorry, not Eddie. Richie isn't a DJ, isn't a trash talk DJ. He's a stand-up comedian
Yeah, the TV miniseries, he's a stand-up comedian. Well, he's a stand-up comedian in both. I mean, but
in both, yeah.
yeah. Um, Friggin' Harry Anderson, man, that just goes to show what a versatile actor he was. I mean, because Richie in it is nothing like Judge Harry. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah. Oh yeah,
But
but
I like the changes that they made because you have to have for the horror to really hit, you have to have some uh attachment to the characters and what they do. And it's like, well, who has a trash talk, DJ nowadays?
well, I think now in a post Howard Stern world, I think everyone just knows that
Right.
there's no contender to the throne after Howard Stern, pretty much for the most part.
Exactly. Howard
Uh,
Stern is known, and
yeah,
if unless Richie is going to be Howard Stone or Howard Stern,
exactly. Yeah,
it's not going to fall great.
precisely. Yeah. Whereas, well, I'll still say for anyone who doesn't know this behind the scenes story, it's probably one of my favorite stories of the movies. That Finn Wolfhard, what during the press junket, I think it was during the press junket of for the first movie, they had asked because I think a lot of people knew about that inevitably the adults are going to come in and play these parts. I think they had asked each of the kids like who they wanted to play
Hmm.
their adult counterpart. And Finn Wolfhard balls out said, I want Bill Hader to play me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wasn't he was the best.
oh my God, no, Bill Hader. No, that I'm filing under another horror performance that should have been Oscar nominated because Bill Hader.
Agreed.
There are things that Bill Hader did that weren't even in the book. In fact, there's a whole implication in the movie that's not even remotely alluded to in the book. That there was an implication that Richie might have been closeted, and even
Hmm.
more so that he loved Eddie.
Yeah. I like that change.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I
if it's not
absolutely
in the book,
did.
it doesn't matter because it worked for the movie.
You're right. It
It
absolutely.
really did.
Yeah. Well, because for anyone wondering what Pennywise meant when he was floating towards Richie saying, I know your
Your
secret. And
secret.
it's like
Yeah,
that's what the secret was. They
that's what
were,
the secret is.
yeah, which honestly, I freaking loved it. I thought it was, and man, I defy anyone. To quote David Lynch, to paraphrase David Lynch, fix your heart if you did not cry at the end of chapter two when Richie just breaks down when they're all in the lake.
Yeah.
Man, it's like I couldn't believe Stefan made me cry. Just
But it is interesting to note in the book and in the TV miniseries, Richie always gravitated more towards Eddie.
mhm. Oh yeah.
Ben absolutely loved Bev. Bev had such a crush on Bill, but it was always Richie and Eddie. And
Yeah.
Richie always in his way, in his trash mouth way, he was always making fun of Eddie. He was always,
Mhm.
gravitating towards him. So for me, that that specific change worked beautifully and I love it. I
Mm.
love it.
Oh yeah. Actually, one thing that I loved, honest, this is why I do love a good cinematic adaptation. Well, the big reveal of Ben in chapter two, I think was inspired what they did.
Yeah.
Like it's a we're in a conference room and we think we're talking to Ben. We see this very rotund individual and we think and we're like, okay, well, we remember Ben was a bit
Yeah,
of a
there's
chunky
Ben.
kid. Yeah, chunky. And I was like, we're fine with that. All of a sudden cut to this freaking chiseled ass, gorgeous, gorgeous freaking man who I could swear to God was Carl Urban's stunt double. Uh, all of a sudden turned around and then there he is with the January Embers poem in his wallet. I'm like, and
Yeah.
and actually, this is another reason why everyone should still read the book because there's a whole chapter where it does talk about Ben's journey after leaving Derry
Yeah.
and it's honestly kind of damn near inspiring. And I actually would say people should read it just because it's actually kind of an inspirational story. Because what happens is that after I think Ben moved away again, and
Yeah.
he ended up in a high school, and he had this abusive gym coach who just kept abusing him, just kept verbally accosting him. But Ben stepped up and said, "You know what? Fuck you, buddy," and he got swole. He
Yeah.
in defiance, entirely in
Pure
defiance of
spite.
him.
I can do all in spite, which fuels me.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. Ben is a fascinating character because of the idea that he's able to take so much darkness and make legit positive change
Yeah.
for himself. But at the end of the day, in lieu of the fact that he's actually doing a job that very much plays to his strengths. Obviously, a career that he loves. He has everything except the one thing that got away from him
Right.
was
Right.
was just true love. And in the end, it's just unexpressed affection. And when we meet him as an adult, he is an emotionally unavailable person because of all the things he had courage to do in his life, the one thing he never had courage to do was to speak his heart.
Right. And his mother is still very much in the depths of grief when they move away from Derry. And he sort of has to pull himself out of that miasma. Uh and it's like revisiting like his entire journey was amazing because he does tell like how hard it was to transform his life, his way of thinking, especially when like the adult in your life is still in that depths of despair, and his
Mhm.
mother very much was still.
Yeah.
um I think that does pull a huge testament to Ben.
Yeah, it really, really does. And I think now this is where I'm going to say justice for Ben and Bev because one thing that did drive me crazy in the book, 1,200 pages, and yet they spend so much more time about Bill and his flirtation with Bev to the point where they actually go to bed with each other when they like in the latter part of the book. And I was like, dude, you're married. First off, you're married. And in the book, and even I would say with Olivia Hussey in the TV miniseries, she's a good person. You are cheating.
No, she's a very good person, and he does love her.
Yeah. But he goes to bed with Beverly, and then even worse is that they don't even after all is said and done, there's I don't remember there ever being a chapter where Beverly and Ben finally have that moment where they have that final connection. The TV miniseries did it, and goddamn,
It
it's like
happens off screen, but they do. Like
yeah,
they
which I'm
do
like
get
going,
together
it's
and they
like the
have a
most
kid.
exactly, it's like the most important thing in this emotional arc that you've been setting up throughout the course of the book, and you just off screen their relationship.
Yeah.
I was like, that's why I will say I liked that's one thing that did work in both the TV miniseries and oh, especially in the Annie Muschietti. Hell, I love the fact they made it a set piece. Uh,
Yes.
in it, I really got into that just with Bev when she's drowning in the bathroom stall and Ben when he's being buried.
Hmm.
And I love the way they use both of that as kind of like a and kind of like a visual representation of their mental roadblocks. I mean, Ben just obviously the fact he's burying himself away in his own creation because he's being buried alive in his clubhouse that he built,
Yeah.
and Bev being drowned in the bathroom that that she always had to hide in,
Yeah.
where she always tried to hide an abuse, but she could never escape it because, of course, bullies would still get to her anyway.
Hmm.
So I loved the way they used that and how both of them were able to reconnect. It was, and not only that, there's an amazing hero shot of Bev where she's busting out from the thing, reaching down for Ben. I was like, that's such a great,
That was so good.
such an amazing hero shot. I will defy anyone for anyone who ever says it chapter two, that the movie fell flat. I'm like, no, read the book and you
I
will.
never felt it fell
I loved
flat.
it. I was so good with it. I'd say my I will say this is one con for me with the book. This is one thing I've always kind of had was a little embittered about. The book really devoted itself to being about building up the Losers Club, like talking about their whole stories, like a lot of like their roadblocks, all the stuff that they had to do in order to ultimately prevail. But
Hmm.
ultimately, the finale just became the Bill Denbrough show. It really kind of did.
Yeah,
In the end,
they do.
in the end, it was just about Bill extending his consciousness into the cosmos to ultimately take on Pennywise himself. And I'm like going, no, this whole thing was all about you all coming
All
together to have the
together.
strength to band together and fight Pennywise. I mean, even the TV miniseries got that right. The movie especially got that right. Where in the end, it should be about all of them coming together, finding strength in each other to stand up to him. And the whole reason Eddie dies is that even though he steps up to him, it's just him. And he does,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the downside. He was doing it on his own, whereas the last time when he was a kid, he had the losers to get his back
Yeah.
at that point. So that's why, unfortunately, Eddie died, is that while everyone else was freaking out, he didn't think to, to have his friends with him. So That's my rant. But yeah, I will say Bill was not a like for me, Bill was not a likable character in the book. I actually kind of wanted to punch him a couple times in the book.
I didn't mind Bill. I felt that when when you have a when there's trauma like a sibling death, especially a sibling death that he feels unending guilt over, and even as an adult, he feels guilt over it. There's no closure when it comes to that. Even though who can say that there would be anything that he could have done different? Like if he had gone out with Georgie that day, who's to say
Hmm.
that it still wouldn't have happened or would have happened in a different way?
Oh yeah.
But like that's I think that's part of losing a child too. Whether it's a sibling or a parent, there's no way to get over that. But I think with Bill in his grief, uh, because his wife was like, you never talk about your childhood. You never talk about any of this. And I think when Bill is talking about leaving college because he's already started to sell his stories, his wife was like, I didn't even know you had a brother for the first, up teen years that we were together. And now
Mhm.
suddenly you need to go home. It's the shroud of mystery, and it's
Yeah.
engaging to
Oh,
see.
oh no, that side of Bill's
But
story, that side of Bill's story I was 100% for. I did consider that to be like to be legitimately good because you are absolutely right on that front. There are a lot of times the reason why we run away is because we have things that we just don't want to. And even though it's treated as something of a running gag in the movie, there is something right about the fact that Bill, his whole thing is that he has a hard time with endings
yeah,
because, well, unfortunately, your own story, the one story that has haunted you, does not have an
it
ending.
doesn't have an ending. And I think it's hard to put that because an ending means closure. And even though he says goodbye to Georgie, it's not for him, like he still can't let Georgie go.
Yeah,
But
it
having an ending, having that closure means Georgie goes away forever. And he can't
Mhm.
let his little brother go,
Yeah.
even
Well,
as an adult.
especially when you have that guilt owing to the fact as they confront him that you weren't actually sick that day. You made it up so as an excuse to not go with me outside.
Right.
Yeah, or as Pennywise mocks him, you lied and I died.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of that. So it's one thing that and I know a lot of people were like saying, well, didn't Bill kind of come to terms with this in the end of the first one? He's like, no, he came to terms with the fact that Georgie was dead. Because
Right.
up to that point, he would
He
be
was like, Georgie's alive. And you're like, I don't see how he could be alive.
yeah,
It's
when
been weeks.
and you touched upon this earlier where with Betty Ripsum where the mother's like, keeps insisting that no, she's still alive. It's like, no, it's been weeks. It's been weeks.
There's no way.
There's no way. And here we have Bill, who is still harping on the idea that Georgie is still alive. It's like, no, dude, it's been months.
Yeah, there's
He,
no way
he
he
is a
would be
little,
alive.
yeah, he is a
If
little kid.
if he was taken in the sewer and then he was, water he did that wacky water slide throughout Derry, like
See, now I'm
you're
just
gonna find a
picturing
body
that.
one way or the other, friend.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be alive. I felt that that was really cool with Welcome to Derry, where they show you Maddie, and you're like, "How were you alive? Like it's been months, Maddie. How are you living?" And he's like, "No, I've been able to, eat trash and
Yeah.
I've been able to survive." And he gives a plausible it gives a plausible explanation as to how this child has stayed alive for
Hmm.
all these months being,
Yeah.
because
And why?
I'm not going back home.
Hmm.
I would rather
Yeah.
live in the sewer than go back home to that abuse. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, maybe he is alive. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, I was not 100% convinced. I was all because Pennywise has played this particular gambit before with Georgie, so I had a
right.
feeling deep down. But again, they did such a great job. But you can't do the whole like, oh, why would they ever follow? It's like going, no, the kid's telling a pretty believable story here. It's like,
It checked out. I thought it was like, okay, well maybe Maddie is alive. Like they killed off who I thought was going to be the main cast in the first episode, and now here comes Maddie in episode 4. Maybe this is another switcheroo, and he really is alive. And it's like, no,
yeah.
no,
Even
he's not.
though, and well, it also helped that it was a big ask for the audience because the whole first scene sequence of Welcome to Derry is Maddie in the station
In the
wagon
car, yeah.
with the family, and it's like going, yeah, that kid ain't going anywhere. His pacifier is always way out. That was a fascinating little quirk of his characters. The fact he was still sucking on a pacifier. I'm like,
On a pacifier, yeah.
and that immediately told me, no, this kid is dealing with some serious shit. The fact that he
Yes.
still got his binky and that he is still using it, that tells me that this poor kid is like desperate for an escape, but he's like still like has ticks that he is just can't get away from. So I love little subtle nuances that tell volumes about a character, and that did it right there. That was just fantastic. Though it's funny we haven't really gotten into a lot of the aspects of Welcome to Derry, but I mean, setting it where they did in 1962 versus the 1980s or even today, they were able to give us a set of characters with their own set of societal problems. I mean, we even have peer pressure problems with Margie
Yeah.
as a character, and I mean, she was a character that I love it when a TV show is able to make a character annoying as hell or like one that you want to punch, but then they go through an incredible character transition.
Yeah, that Margie's redemption was outstanding.
Oh, so good. To me, it was like right up there with Lexi and Chucky the series. It was like right up
Yeah.
there with it. But I will say Margie definitely had it worse than Lexi, though. I mean, and
Yes.
Lexi had her parents murdered, but Margie, freaking took a bandsaw to her eye. So it's like,
Yeah. That
not saying it's not a contest, but I'd still say
it's
Margie.
not a contest, but Margie wins.
Yeah. And then even worse, like her first childhood love
Yeah.
sacrificed himself. Oh my God. I mean, the black spot sequence I knew we were gonna do that they were gonna do that for the show.
Right.
I love
That
it when
addition
he
was
yeah,
perfect.
that whole sequence was rough, but man, just seeing that Rich sacrifice himself to save Margie, that was just so. And I know so many people who are inconsolable from that because it's
It was hard.
mhm.
I did cry. I mean, I may not be the hardest person to make cry. Like yeah, I cry a lot during movies
Oh, I do
and
too.
that and shows, and that specifically hit hard. That, and I teared up with Ronnie when she was like begging for her father.
Mm.
That that was heartbreaking. I
Yeah, there's been a great meme that's been going around about the kids in Welcome to Derry versus the Losers Club, and a lot of people like are saying Pennywise went easy on the Losers Club versus the kids
Yeah,
from Welcome to Derry. I mean, freaking Ronnie has a horrible nightmare scenario where she's inside the womb
yeah,
and she rips herself out of her mother, and her mother's screaming is like I just wanted to hold you, but you killed me, kind of thing, and she has to
yeah.
gnaw her own umbilical cord. Then you've got poor Lily, who was already suffering the tortures of the damned before Pennywise even came.
Lily was one
She's a tough
one
kid.
bad day away from just losing it entirely.
Yeah. And even then, she's had a series of bad days, and yet somehow that poor girl is still kicking. And a lot of it really does come to the fact that she ended up finding this band of friends who really got her back. I'll also say just the young actress who plays Lily, just she does such a great job conveying just that conflict and that turmoil and
Yeah.
that terror. It's like you really do buy every single angle of her character. So, but yeah, just the whole pickle sequence right there, and just yeah, the poor kid. And yeah, the kids in Welcome to Derry, they definitely get way harder. And they're living in an age where unfortunately, like even women were marginalized, blacks were
There's
marginalized.
no therapy.
Yeah,
There's no therapy.
they have Juniper
There's
Hill, but that's
nothing.
they have Juniper Hill, but even then, Lily's still saying like it's a nightmare house, like where
Yeah, there wasn't any actual therapy going on at Juniper House. There was electroshock therapy for sure, but there's no like doctor that's there to help you. There
no. Oh, and it's a little wonder that she ends up clicking with a with Mrs. Kirsch because she's
right.
the only one who
Mr. Search only one who could help her and who seemed interested in helping her, and then you find out, well,
no, she has
Mrs.
ulterior
Hirsch is
motives.
kind of crazy. It's okay.
She kind of loopy. She likes dressing up. She has a clown fetish. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But seeing Mrs. Hirsch in her younger years and then seeing her interact with Bev at the end
oh yeah,
was beautiful. That
yeah.
was a hell of a way to connect the TV show to the movies.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm always for whenever they do extended media of anything, is because I'm always thinking this is their chance to, I don't want to say rectify any mistakes they made, but like find a way to take what may not have worked and find a workaround to make it.
Right.
I always use Cobra Kai as a great example of that. Because that show did such an incredible job taking even the weaker elements of the original Karate Kid films, and they found a way to enrich it and made it better
Right.
just by doing what they did. And Chucky did it really
Yes.
well. And in my opinion, the stuff that they have been doing with Star Wars, in
Mhm.
in many ways, that's what they're trying to do right now. It's like, yeah, they didn't say how Palpatine came back in Rise of Skywalker, but that doesn't mean in this grand expanded media that they're coming out with that they're not going to explain it later.
Right.
So it's like, guys, we're living in the age where franchises go on and on and on, and you just have to kind of ride the wave to get your answers later on because they're operating on the presumption that you love it and that you want more of it.
We see that a bit with X-Men. You never know how a storyline is going to be resolved, if a storyline is going to be resolved, because sometimes writers get changed, the handover happens and you're like, well, wait a minute, there's five unresolved uh big plot points from this last arc. What do you mean it's just sort of
Yeah.
hanging out there?
Hmm.
But then you go back later and you're like, oh, okay. Whew, don't worry, guys. Gail Simone's gonna fix it, and then she does.
Yeah. Exactly. And
But
then yeah, and going back to what they did with Welcome to Derry, I mean, I will balls out say when I was doing my re-binge in preparation for this, immediately that it had me really happy with the prior two films, thinking like everything that happens here is going to come back and be much and resonate with the events of the two movies. I mean, and it does in many ways. The events here do kind of explain why Pennywise may not have been in tip-top shape when we see him again in the 80s, because
right,
obviously he got the shit kicked out of him in this one encounter. So, but
yeah,
even just the big reveal that he is omnipresent, or that he at least he's omniscient, where he can see time unfold in all forms, and that everything he's doing here is in defiance of a fate that very clearly he can't defy.
right. I love the fact that they just outright said what fans have been saying for years, that Pennywise does not experience past, present, or future the way humans do. It is happening at the same time, past, present. It's all the same to Pennywise. It floats
Mhm.
down like confetti. And I love when a franchise plays with time, when it's not linear, when it's not circular, when it's just an explosion.
Hmm.
And that's got to, for me, it lends an actual it lends credence to a character, uh like, oh, why did you do that, or you could easily be defeated. It's like, oh, because he made these big mistakes because he's not experiencing them the way we're experiencing them.
Mm,
He's experiencing the losers fight uh maybe shortly thereafter the fight with the military on the lake.
yeah.
Like for him, he hasn't had the full like 27 years of rest and relaxation. He's had maybe a half hour nap, you know?
Yeah, well, that's the thing to think about people. Like he's an entity that's millions of years old. For him, a 27-year sleep, that's pretty much like a sleep when you didn't take your melatonin. That's
Yeah.
like for him, it's just like a blink of an eye that he just wakes up the next day and he's like Crumbopulous Michael going, "Oh, all right, got some killing to do." You know,
Here we go. It's gonna
here
be
we
great.
go. Here I go killing again. Yeah, kind of thing.
And I think too, when they show that interruption, when he's not in that miasma of blood, they show that interruption. And he clearly gives a lot of effort in trying to kill whatever and whoever he can. Because now he's not just going after the kids at the end of Welcome to Derry. He's going after the military, the adults. He's going after all of them. And that had to have taken a substantial amount of energy.
Oh yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is because here he is in an age where it's all about fear. I mean, the military are terrified of the commies,
Right.
they're terrified of the blacks. The blacks in turn are terrified of the whites. It's just fear is all over the place. And I think Pennywise, through his machinations, was stoking the flames in the hope that he could create something that could make him stronger, not counting on the fact that you have these kids from their traumas that they suffer just from day-to-day life.
Right.
The fact that they become stronger, that they are stronger because they are able to persevere through that. And I think Pennywise was not anticipating that these kids were still going to step up and be able. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't expecting the ghost of Rich to come out, flip the fucking bird, and
Oh, that was the
oh,
best.
that was the greatest goddamn
I
thing.
cried. I cried when I saw that. That was emotional for me, and I cannot properly explain why, but he comes out and he flips the bird. And I know it's supposed to be funny. I know it's supposed to be funny, and it was, but I also cried. It
Oh,
was perfect.
I've seen footage. I think I saw footage of a bar of everyone watching the finale when they all saw that. I think it was, yeah, there was laughter, but everyone was like cheering like in pure defiance because that is in essence what because Rich, the funny thing as him as a character is that yeah, you could have accused him being a Richie clone, but well, as we kind of find out later on,
Well,
there's kind of a reason why. But he's a case where someone uses humor in order to cope with dark ass shit
yeah,
because a lot of reasons why depressed people become comedians, present company included, myself, is because that's a great coping mechanism to deal with dark shit that you run into every day. I mean, it's fascinating with Rich because if memory serves, he's Latino,
yeah.
but he does such a great job being so extroverted and just being the
At a
person.
time that there's a crisis with Cuba,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
he's in Derry.
Yeah. He's in Derry at that point, but I noticed in the show they never seem to harp on him about that, and I think a lot of it is because he does such a good job hide. Well, you could say that he hides that part of himself through humor
Right,
and just being an extrovert, so that way people don't pay attention to that side of him, or even if they do pay attention to him, they go like, ah, he's just a big old class clown, he's a big old nut, I can
yeah,
even if they're bigoted towards him on that angle, they'll just say like, yeah, but he's a cut up. He's not he's not one of them
right.
kind of thing. So that was kind of fascinating that they didn't get that aspect of his character, but I kind of feel like that's like there just under the surface
Hmm.
kind of deal. So I suppose I think to kind of bring it all together, the one thing we never really kind of got into like at all really is just Pennywise in terms of how he's portrayed in both specifically just with between Bill Skarsgård and Tim Curry.
Yeah,
When I'm doing the math, the thing that's hilarious is that I've seen Tim Curry way beforehand. I just didn't know him. Many people always say is like you know you can tell a person by what Tim Curry movie they remember him first for. And it's funny, I should have remembered him for Annie because he
Oh
played
yeah.
because he played Rooster in Annie, but of course I didn't know who he was at the time. I didn't really acknowledge his brilliance until I saw him in Home Alone 2.
Mm,
But even then, I think Home Alone 2 came out the same time as It. And of course, he was under heavy makeup at that time, and I didn't know who he was, so I didn't know it was him.
yeah. And the voice was different.
Yeah.
He purposely did a different voice for Pennywise. If you're just looking at Pennywise and you're hearing him, and you don't know it's Tim Curry, you're probably not gonna go, "Hey, I know that voice. That's Tim Curry."
Yeah.
Versus, Clue, you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's Tim Curry."
Yeah, Tim Curry, yeah, when I finally saw Clue, that I immediately recognized him right off the bat because of course I thought he stole the show in Home Alone 2. So yeah, here he was like owning the spotlight from all the great comedic actors in freaking Clue, and here he is like just dominating. So it was kind of wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know for a lot of people, they do have a very strong nostalgic attachment to Tim Curry and the way he played Pennywise.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, versus Bill Skarsgård. Now, the argument has been made, like the whole point of him being a clown is to kind of lull his impending victims into a false sense of security. But anyone who knows the Joker knows clowns don't have that effect on people.
No, no. Well, I enjoyed Welcome to Derry because it gave really great explanation as to why that's his default form
Yeah.
when he's trying to lure in children. Um, because Pennywise in the early 1900s, kids loved clowns and
Hmm.
they were drawn to him, and the children loved Pennywise, and that doesn't translate well in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I think, in the book they mentioned, like, if Georgie had lived to see McDonald's form, he would have placed Ronald McDonald, like, he would have
Oh,
thought of Ronald McDonald when he saw Pennywise.
oh yeah.
And I think for the children in Welcome to Derry, when you see Pennywise with his daughter Periwinkle, you're supposed to have the sense of Ronald McDonald.
Mm.
Fun, zany, silly, letting kids, expel energy. No one's yelling at them to be proper. No one's saying, "Oh, you can't do that. Sit down and read your Bible," or whatever it was that they
Yeah,
did.
clowns in essence, I mean, of course, the Joker is a good example of this. Clowns are meant to be kind of an embodiment of chaos.
Right,
And from chaos comes like mirth and joy and a release of repression of repressed
right.
emotions. So yeah, that's so people would be allured to the idea, especially I will say when you watch trained clowns perform, like when you see them actually doing their thing.
Yeah,
See, it's really cool to watch because you see that it is a big old pantomime performance where they're doing, physical comedy and the like. I mean, clowns in their essence are designed specifically to make you happy or to, make you excited because they were meant to kind of embody just that freewheeling, don't give a fuck energy, just done in a much more cartoony light. But
yeah,
unfortunately, people have the inverse response to them,
yes,
and a lot of it is because especially just the image of the painted smile, because it's always been said that
yeah,
anyone who smiles all the time is probably a lunatic, or someone who smiles that much when there's no real reason to smile. That's someone you might want to keep at arm's length because they're thinking of something deeply sick that's making them smile in a way that's just unnatural.
yeah,
I mean, that's why, of course, people gravitate to the movie Smile, and that's why that image is so effective. Is just because, dude, you're smiling and you're about to mush your face with a friggin' 45-pound weight.
right.
Yeah.
It's I always enjoyed the fact that Pennywise has that smile and the goofy way, because, like, Bill Skarsgård puts that goofy clown voice and the way that he speaks to children is very
Mhm.
effective.
Yeah.
The way that he gains their trust with Georgie, the little girl with the birthmark.
Oh yeah, that I
And
love the
that
way they
was
do that.
such a good way to show why Pennywise is Pennywise. Because he watched how the real Pennywise interacted with kids and got their trust. Like once you make a kid giggle,
You got them.
you got them. You've got an in at the very least. And because you see, the little girl hesitates because it's Pennywise and it's a clown and she's not the biggest fan, but then he starts speaking to her.
Yeah.
And he puts on that goofy affect for his voice. And
Mm.
she laughs and she gets closer and closer and closer. And then chomp.
Well, then even more,
So,
well, even more so, he also empathizes with her. He preys
right.
on her vulnerabilities because
Oh,
he,
the way I look.
yeah, is like people laugh at me, you don't like the way I look, and immediately preys on the idea that people obviously mock her because she has a very visible birthmark on her face. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that kind of so that's another thing Pennywise just does really, really well. He just knows how to prey on your vulnerabilities because he can see them. He can see all of
Yeah,
them.
he can see them. He can taste them.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's
Yeah.
what drives him to do what he does.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah.
I I I think he's a very effective villain, and he's a very effective hunter.
Hmm. Precisely. Yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day, I know a lot of people hate the way that at the end of it all they did is just like kind of verbally accost him and then ultimately until he like was nothing. It's like, but and I just in the same way, it's kind of like how I always tell people, it's like, guys, the whole point is like when people rail on War of the Worlds, and I'm like going, the whole point, this is the essence of it, is the idea that something so simple, this big thing, this big seemingly unstoppable force, is killed by something so simple because of pure hubris. Because when someone
Right.
when something in when an entity is so powerful, they're always, I think Doctor Who said it best in the Pirate Planet, where the doctor said, you know, the more the more sophisticated the technology, the more vulnerable it is to primitive attack. People always overlook the obvious, uh,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like in War of the Worlds, the Martians died because they think with all their technology and with all their imposing armaments and just the way that they're able to just kill willy-nilly, they think they're powerful. They think they're invincible. They never take into account the one key thing, and that's our bacteria. In the case of
Yeah.
Pennywise, here he is preying on the insecurities of these people, and he thinks that he's got one on each of the Losers Club. But one thing, and this is another thing I loved about the way they do the big third act climax, is that you're seeing each and every one of them rise up and kind of get past their vulnerabilities and get past their insecurities. Even Mike, who we haven't even talked about Mike, but the way he's portrayed, but the whole thing, he's the one who stayed in Derry. He's the one who unfortunately has let this brew
Yeah.
for decades, and that's a whole other side there too, because there, in many ways, he's not too dissimilar to Laurie Strode in either H2O or the David Gordon Green trilogy. It's like he's what happens when someone just lives for the fear and just buries himself in it, and in what he thinks is a way to cope with it is just the idea of an unhealthy obsession making him unhinged. But unfortunately, and but the thing that kind of made it worse for him was that his friends were gone and he had no one who he could cope with.
Yeah, he took on that role of a guardian. He was like someone had to stay behind because when you leave, you forget. And when you don't have someone there to remember what happened before, it makes Pennywise stronger. He's there to remind the Losers Club of what Pennywise is and who he is and how they promise to stop him. But if they all leave, no one's going to be there to remember it. Nobody's going to be there to sound the alarm, and Pennywise is going to continue on
And get stronger and
and get
stronger.
stronger. And I
Yeah.
think Mike as Mike as the hero, for me, Mike was more of the hero than Bill.
Yeah.
Mike was the one who sacrificed his entire life to stay in Derry, to be the librarian, to take on a very, very small paycheck to live. And he lives in the library. Like he can't
Yeah.
he in a town that has hated him, that has made it very well known that because of the color of his skin, he is seen as lesser and he is treated as lesser. Um, in order to be able to stop the greater evil. And I think Mike, the whole reason why they're able to defeat Pennywise the second time around is because of Mike.
Yeah. I would definitely agree. And even though he now the ritual of Chud that is in the book, but it's a completely different thing in the book versus what they do in
Yep.
the
Yup.
Emily, when you tell me the ritual of Chud, my immediate thought immediately goes to the movie Chud. Pretty much exactly. So I'm like going, I don't need to see weird little slug people with glowing eyes. And we already got that with Pennywise here. Come on, you
We're
don't.
good. We're good.
We're good. We're good. But even then, there's just something legitimately innocent about innocent, but also just thematically right about the idea that in the end, all it really took is just that the losers said, you know what? In the end, you're just a stupid fucking clown who is a parasite who, in many ways, it's kind of like what they attempted to do at the end of the first Nightmare on Elm Street when Nancy uh,
Yeah.
turns her back on Freddy, saying, you're shit, you're nothing more than just a bad dream, you're just a demon in my brain, you're worthless. So to me, that's what this read as. It was just the idea that finally all of these people have were able to confront their feelings, face their trauma, and say actually a lot, and attach themselves to their friends. Finally, having the relationship that they probably should have had after the incidents in the first in their childhood, stepping up. And I was like, this all just seems right to me. That just now they see Pennywise for the pathetic little creature he is, and
Right.
he becomes the pathetic creature that he always has been. It's and that all the whole thing about the cosmic lights, that's all just pageantry.
Hmm.
In the end, he's just a sad little ball sack, you know, yeah, little colored ball, red and white ball sack.
And I think too, when you take into consideration the entities in Stephen King's world, and you have the turtle, the creator, and then you have Pennywise as the destroyer, it would I would not be upset if it came out like, hey, when you do the ritual of Chud, you get help. You get cosmic help from the turtle. You may not know it. You may not know at the time that uh the turtle is helping, but the
Hmm.
turtle is helping.
Yeah.
And I think what was really fun in Welcome to Derry, where you see the indigenous tribe and how they have done all they can do to contain Pennywise. I think the the part that wasn't said out loud is that the turtle is helping the tribe,
Hmm.
specifically the tribe.
Yeah.
And then it gets ruined when the military
Yeah.
when the
And
military bowls on through. uh it gets
yeah,
harder to
that
contain Pennywise.
Yeah, that in and of itself, not just for the time period it takes place in, but you can even read into just the idea that the indigenous tribes in Derry, their whole method was just to contain the fear, to find a way to just keep it there, which
Yeah.
some would say that that in and of itself is not a very healthy way to deal with it as well. You're all you're doing is bottling it up and you're not resolving it.
Right.
And unfortunately, because you're not resolving it, people are still suffering because of it, but you bury it away.
And also, but also, like, what else were they gonna do, especially in the early 1900s? They didn't really have a way to learn more about Pennywise without unleashing him.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Well, but the fact that they didn't throughout the centuries. Now they've been at it for centuries,
Yeah,
uh,
they've
containing him. So, but even then, they never took it upon themselves to try to figure out how to ultimately defeat him. And a lot of that comes from just the centuries of Pennywise killing. many
Yeah,
members of their tribe. And in the end, that's just fear operating of itself. Fear has kept Pennywise alive because he has convinced them that they can't kill him, that all they can do is
right.
contain him. So that is an
And
interesting,
from what they see, he's right. They can't.
yeah, when in reality, no, they can. It's just that all the fears from all the injuries inflicted upon them have conditioned them to believe that they can't kill it. And then
Right.
whereas you got the military who unfortunately they take Shaw take I think Shaw's his name. He takes the wrong lesson from his experience of it instead of joining them, realizing this fear needs to be contained, should never get out. His whole thought is we need to weaponize this fear.
Right.
I felt fear and I want to inflict this fear on other people.
I
And
want to use this.
yeah, and he's doing it under the guise of self-righteousness.
Right.
Yeah. Or
When I
just
think too, like once the town moves in and the town takes over the portions of the forest and the woods, and when it becomes more populated, when cities and towns become more and more commonplace, as the population grows, Pennywise is able to feed more and become stronger.
mm, yeah.
Because it's a period, because he sleeps for the 27 years and he has 18 months, is it? That
Yeah,
his
I think they say something like
It's
the
like a
cycle.
year and a half. The cycle is a year and a half for every 27 years.
Jesus. Yeah, man, that's terrible. I mean, yeah, that's just terrible. Just think of, a lot of things can happen within the span of 18 months, and and I remember they said like 27, like dozens of kids end up getting killed or lost during the span of that time. And that's just a horrible, and I will say, and when you see just when they're floating up there in the air,
Yeah,
realize the bodies just are stacking up, you just come to the realization this is not cool, people. I mean, yeah, sure, you're containing a menace and it could get worse if he gets unleashed. But even so, this is still an unacceptable exchange that you're using here. I mean, as much as we want to say the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, thank you, Spock. Um, in the end, you should always try to preserve life no matter what the cost is. I mean, and I'm trying to remember Doctor Who, I think River Song said about the Doctor, he's like saying, everyone dies, but I think the universe would pretty much end if the Doctor ever accepted it.
right.
So I'm
And
like,
I think when you have a town where the adults are not helping contain the evil, part of it because they can't comprehend that it's not a regular person doing it, or it's not just a runaway. Maddie was seen as a runaway. Betty
mhm,
Ripkin was seen as a runaway, but they're like, why would Betty Ripkin run off?
yeah,
She had a great life. Um, Versus, where it's someone, why would Georgie was seen as an accident, but there were so many like missing and runaway kids. They're like, oh well, Maddie ran away because he lived in a terrible place. These kids didn't run away from the movie theater. Someone murdered them. It was a serial murderer.
and it must be the black guy
It
because
must be the black man.
yeah. Never mind the idea that that someone else could have gotten in the theater that night. I mean, they never took into account, wait a minute, if a bunch of kids could get into that movie theater, what if some random psycho snuck into the theater and killed those kids? It didn't even,
Right.
yeah. I mean, I will say I'm sad that Lily didn't think to just say like, we were in the theater and some random psycho, he was, he had a coat and a hat or something like that. He just came in and he killed them. You know,
Right.
I couldn't see his face because it's
I
true.
couldn't see his face, but I know it wasn't Ronnie's dad.
Yeah, I could definitely tell you it wasn't Ronnie's dad. Yeah, kind of thing. But even
That is,
but
yeah.
because of the age that she was living in, they never would have accepted that.
No,
No,
never.
because their agenda, because they're
They
just
would have they would have they would have poked and prodded at Lily until she named Ronnie's father. It doesn't make her right, but that is exactly what Bowers would have done as the chief of police.
hmm
They would have made sure that it was blamed on the person that they wanted to blame it on.
yeah. And just and I will say, man, it was such a great job with Bowers as as the sheriff character. I was like, that just spoke volumes. Just watching him, I was like, that just spoke volumes about what we're going to wind up getting later on.
Right.
with Henry.
With Henry, yeah, his with his grandfather doing that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was so yeah, such good stuff. Such good stuff all around. So I think the way we can kind of bring all this home together is that well, and it's been said frequently on this podcast, and many people have acknowledged that the key success of Stephen King, and part of the reason why this book is so dense, in lieu of the fact that this is, for all intents and purposes, a book about just a bunch of kids in a small town, is because Stephen King has always been purported to be a humanist writer. Like
Mhm.
every single book he's ever written is very heavily invested in the human condition. Yeah, very much so. And in the case of it, this is talking about generational trauma over the decades and just the idea that the things we experience as a kid are grand and gargantuan and horrific and sometimes even worse than what they actually are. And if we don't resolve it in the way we do that we should, it lingers and it ends up infecting us as adults later on down the line. So that is what I've always read this the whole point of it to be, and even by extension, just the kind of stuff that Stephen King that's always been his pay dirt in most of the stuff he's written.
Agreed. And I think when you're reading other Stephen King works and you see little callbacks and like the graffiti of Pennywise Lives, it's like, wait a minute, I thought he died at the end of the book. And you're like, who can say?
Yeah,
It's always fun to have that because I think everyone loves a good Easter egg here and there.
yeah,
Maybe not the town of Derry for the Easter egg hunt,
no,
but but
but
um I'm excited to see where Welcome to Derry season 2 comes.
yeah,
What they do.
yeah, they still haven't 100% confirmed it, but it went over so well that it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point. And yeah, the fact that they said that they're going to go back to the 30s, uh,
Yeah.
that they're going to go back to the 30s. I think they said they're planning for another 2 seasons, and that the next season is going to be in the 30s, and then the other one's going to be in the 1900s.
It's going to be interesting to see how they do the shootout.
Yeah, and goddamn, that friggin' song, that song, a smile.
I was seeing it the other day.
Oh my God. I remember from Ghost World. Funny enough, I remember hearing that song in Ghost World, and I just never. And it's actually a sinister little song. If you actually listen to the lyrics, it's actually a sinister little song.
Yeah,
Yeah, because for all intents and purposes, the song is about hiding your actual emotions under just
right.
being happy and pretty.
Which worked so well for Welcome to Derry.
Oh man, that I love one thing HBO does really, really well with a lot of their shows is always does a great opening credit sequence or
Yeah.
opening titles, man. That so good. And I love the way that everything about it just works. So all right, everybody. That was Welcome to Derry. Or that not that Welcome to Derry, that was it. That's it. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it.
it. Yes, that is everything. That is this was a I'll try to figure out ways we can try to do this feature for other times. But I realized this was probably the best one to start this segment off with because there was a lot to unpack in every form. But also, I feel like we've shown how you can't just say one take on material is better than the other when you can clearly see when done well on all media, there's a very symbiotic relationship
Right.
between the books, the movies, and the TV show.
They feed into each other and it's, 'cause, and they'll put things in like the first It chapter 1, you see the faded mural from the shootout in the 30s. You see that, you're like, oh, hey, there it is.
Yeah,
You see like different like little callbacks that have been in the books and in other movies and adaptations. So that's always fun.
exactly. So I say, this will be our declaration to say, guys, let's stop harping on what's better. I mean, yeah, I'll have a preference, but in the end, it's all in aid of making something that is, true that truly resonates with people for a lot of reasons that I think a lot of people aren't really comfortable in talking about.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it is that it's all about the hardship of confronting it, but also the necessity, but the catharsis that comes from confrontation.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep, there we go. So for our final wrap up, one thing we're always going to do with every episode and add on to it, I'm always tickled to pick your brain on have you, for our random recommendation, have you watched anything new recently that you want to tell everyone about?
In terms of horror, I watched this really good. I want to get the title correct. It was on Hulu. So Clown in a Cornfield.
Oh, Clown in the Cornfield.
I
Yeah.
read the book. It is a fun slasher. It is a fun slasher movie. It is exactly what you would imagine. It is a clown in a cornfield, and it is a serial killer, and it's amazing.
Yeah, there
It
was,
is amazing.
and there was a fun little twist there. You think it's going to be a standard? Oh, well, I mean, I think you're selling a little short. I mean, it starts off as a standard slasher, but then it becomes like a big old town-wide conspiracy kind of thriller
Yeah,
kind of
and
thing.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
Yeah, Joe Bob showed that for the last Halloween, for his last Halloween special, which I really
I
loved.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, and he had freaking Guar on the show. It was excellent. Um,
As well as Strange Harvest.
oh baby. Yeah,
I
Strange
love
Harvest.
Strange Harvest. That was so good.
Yeah.
Found footage horror as like a documentary.
Yeah, I put that in the same camp as the Poughkeepsie tapes.
Yeah.
Very much in the same camp. So yeah, I love that one. Let's see. For I myself, I did get a chance to watch some bangers. Like well, yesterday as of recording, The Mummy had just come out, and I did get to go see an advanced screening of that.
I am so
Um,
excited to see that. I am
uh,
so excited to see that.
People are going to accuse Lee Cronin of recycling stuff that he didn't get a chance to use in Evil Dead Rise, and I say, how is that a bad thing? Because
That's not a bad thing.
yeah, because I will say I had a grand old time with The Mummy. It was nice, it was gooey, it was gross, but it was also I just had a freaking great time. Natalie Grace as the titular mummy character was probably one of the best possessed performances since Linda Blair. I'm going to be
Yeah.
bold, like it was like a performance
Okay.
right on that level. I had a great time with this movie. It's definitely going to be in my best of the year, but we'll see where it lands in the final list. But I had a great time with it. But another one I want to tell everyone to make it a point to not only go see it, but also play the game that it's based on because you can. It's like on your phone, you could practically play it. Exit 8.
I want to see that in the worst way.
Oh man.
Liminal horror is my jam, and I love Japanese horror movies.
Yeah, Exit 8. Have you played? So you played the game?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You will be happy to know. Now we've had a recent spate of horror game, like independent horror games getting turned into
Hmm.
movies recently. I mean, of course, Iron Lung was a massive hit.
Yeah.
Recently we had The Mortuary Assistant on Shudder, um, as well, which I will say if you've not played The Mortuary Assistant, I definitely recommend the game.
I
Like,
haven't yet, but
oh,
summer is upon us.
I would love to hear your take on The Mortuary Assistant because the movie of The Mortuary Assistant, I'll repeat, that one, the movie works if you've played the game.
Okay.
Much like the Five Nights at Freddy's movies, I think you get more out of it if you played the games.
Yeah. When you know the lore of something,
Yeah,
it's a deeper.
yeah. But Exit 8, though, there is no lore to the game.
No.
Either that or Platform 8. There is no lore to either of those games. It's just they took well, I will say flat out, the first 30 minutes of the movie, I had a big smile on my face. I was so happy I had played the
Oh,
game
good.
leading up to it. I was so delighted with the way they did the first 30 minutes of that movie. But then they take the very strong foundation of the game and they were able to create an incredible character, very, very poignant character driven story that very much kind of leans into the nature of the horror of Exit 8 is just the idea of just spending your life walking in a circle seemingly going nowhere and because you don't really pay attention to what's around you it comes back and gets you like something
Yeah.
unexpected come and get you. Exit 8 kind of takes that theme and creates a character for the story that does a that they're able to find a way to tell a very emotional story but using the game as a really strong foundation, but it never loses focus on the fact that this is an adaptation of Exit 8. I guarantee if you have played the games and if you as by design of the game, have scrutinized every angle of that freaking underground terminal, you're gonna geek out like crazy because you're gonna find so many times in the movie, while the scene's going on, I kept going, no, 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 the
Yeah.
side, the back, pay attention, no.
When the horror is in the background, and I think that's one of the reasons why I really, really, really enjoyed The Haunting of Hill House. When you see the ghost, when you see the horror, when you see the monster, but the main character doesn't.
Yeah,
That's just such an extra, like Bev and Mrs. Hirsch. When
yeah,
you see Mrs. Hirsch in the background and Bev does not.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, I'd say like one of the best recent examples of that was The Strangers when Liv Tyler's like in the foreground, in the living room, and you see the man in the mask lingering in the darkness, like in the back, and
yep.
you see him, but she has no reason to turn around because he's not making
Yeah,
a
she
noise.
doesn't.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, Exit 8, that one will definitely be making my best step of the year. I was so delighted 100% on it. And if you are a fan of the game, make it a point to see it. And even better, unlike Mortuary Assistant or FNAF, you do not need to play the game to enjoy this movie just
Oh, okay,
on its
cool.
own. But I will say it does help. It does definitely make the entertainment value shoot through the roof just
Yeah.
because of how well uh the director was able to recreate the atmosphere of the game. I mean, like the second you see that corridor, it is like, and if you've ever played the game, if for anyone who's ever played the game, the graphics on the game are photorealistic. So it was like walking into the game. It was that level of
Yeah.
production design. So I hope I hyped it up enough for you.
Good. No, I mean, I was gonna see it before, but now I'm like super gonna see it.
Yeah, you definitely need to see it. I loved it. I loved
I'm
it.
excited.
Yeah. And just to give you a bit of a report, yeah, I'm about 1/5 through Junji Ito's No Longer Human. So I'm 1/5 through it, working on it now. There's that right now I'm currently on, I just started treatment of acetalopram, and I'm telling you now, there's little bits of this book that's making me feel called out.
So No Longer Human is his autobiography.
Well, I
And
thought it was based, well, it said it
or
was based on
it's the autobiography of, no, I'm sorry, not Junji Ito's autobiography. It is the manga of the author of No Longer Human.
Mhm.
And Junji Ito did the illustration and the writing for it. Um and that it's one of my favorites, and I love Tomie. I love all of his work. I love Uzumaki. Um but No Longer Human, which is because it's based on a real person,
Mhm.
but if
Yeah.
you are ever interested in reading any of like Junji Ito's manga, I have purchased a lot of them, and I will happily bring you into my sick and twisted world of Tomie.
Yeah, I've seen the first movie of Tomie. I didn't even know that was based on a manga. I didn't know that.
Each one is delightfully twisted.
Nice. Excellent. All right, everybody. So stay tuned. No idea when this one's going to air. It's definitely going to air sometime in the latter part of May. Depending on when, I'm planning on doing, well, Pride Month's coming up, so I'm planning on theming some of our episodes on the lesbian vampire movement. So we're definitely going to tackle Daughters of Darkness. We're tackling The Hunger. Definitely thinking probably the vampire lovers. I'm thinking maybe the vampire lovers. Something like that. But then our 150th episode is coming up. Our 150th episode celebration. I'm bringing in Brian and I'm bringing in Jorge to do our big final Meisters of Mayhem, finally paying salute to Frank Henenlotter.
Yay!
Oh yeah, so that's what we got coming up. So, but apart from that, oh, and actually, this segment went over so well. I'm talking with M of the Impact about possibly doing this for American Psycho
Mm,
later on. So hopefully we can try to get that in time for May as well. So you have that to look forward to. Uh,
very good.
yep, can't think of anything else. But Mina, thank you very, very much for once again for indulging me on this. And
Of course, my pleasure.
and see you later on. You're going to be very soon recording with us for our upcoming podcast on James Bond.
Yes.
Yes, where you're going to be talking about the utterly wonderful A View to a Kill, which I cannot wait to get in with you on that one.
I really love you to a Kill. Oh, it was my first James Bond movie, and it will always be near and dear to me.
Yeah. Oh no, I have love of that one in the same way I love Cats, the movie Cats. I
Yes.
know what I said. I know what I said. Why I love The Room, why I love Troll 2. I mean, that's what A View to a Kill is to me, and that's why I love it. So, but that's for a different podcast for a different month actually. Those are gonna be premiering in November. So, yeah, but I'm planning them all out now. So, all right,
Excellent.
yeah. All right, everybody. You all go forth, be merry, stay away from storm drains, and if you wish to delve into the dark bowels of human imagination, ask yourself the simple question: what's in the podcast? Thank you for joining us on this edition of What's in the Podcast. If you find yourself hungry for more deep cuts into the gloriously morbid and macabre, you can also find us on TikTok, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Narcotic Casserole. You can also follow us on Instagram at Narcotic Casserole 25. Follow us if you dare.